I see you already hit the button. What's going on?
I guess he's doing something weird.
We just got a message from E2. Hopefully he'll be with us soon.
Yeah, hopefully he will. If I guess Facebook is if I could remove it from Facebook and I can always upload it remotely.
Mm-hmm.
But how are we doing, everybody?
Yeah, it's just a quiet Saturday night so far.
How about you,
A
Al?
little
How
too
are you
worn out.
doing? A little too
A
worn
little too
down.
worn out.
Oh,
Yes.
and all the stuff that we talked about. I definitely want you to put that in the chat. Um, though we can't necessarily talk about it because I'm a little bit sketched out. Those joining us, welcome back to the. Hold on a second. I guess I'll get this last little invite out before we get going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Make sure that Facebook is able to follow us also. And then I'll click on my camera and we will be ready to go. All right, let's slide over a little. There we go. And hello, this is the Political Matrix. As you can see, we are back. E will be joining us shortly here with my colleagues and friends. As you can see in the middle, the whisper in the machine, L. Latham. Um, and unfortunately, I had to, to just protect us a little bit, I had to kind of hold her back a little bit from her natural urges to go in on a lot of this COVID information and topics. But I'd say look into the chat because Elle is going to be putting a lot of information in there. So make sure you do not miss this information and make sure you look into it. And we got Chris on the other side, and he will be joining us shortly. As you can see, the topic is Netflix, Netflix and Dave Chappelle, and we're going to go into this story, which we kind of thought kind of ended last week, but as Chris so eloquently said on Twitter, this story has 9 lives. It just keeps going and apparently growing and growing. Um, we're also going to talk about the Kyrie Irving news as carefully as we can. The same with the Joe Rogan and the Sanjay Gupta interview. I know already that our buddy and friend of the show, Franco from Frank Analysis, he talked about this subject and he received a strike and they already yanked it down. So try to be careful talking about it. Even though it's sad that we're to this level of censorship that we can't even talk about news that other people talked about. I mean, there's literal videos all over YouTube right now. I believe Jimmy Dore has it up on his channel, and he's able to show. Maybe that's what we can do. Maybe we can show a little bit of the Jimmy Dore clip and show you guys some of what was spoken about in there, and maybe that could be, or we can just start looking to channels where they've been able to, I guess, thread the needle properly and be able to get that information out, and YouTube hasn't stricken them or yanked it down. And we can try to show it in that way because it seems like no matter how we try to say it, they find some way to strike it down. I noticed we got my brother Misha Key in the building. Glad to see you here. Variant in the building. See you here. Let's see. I guess maybe I need to get a little closer. Is that better with the mic? Okay. And there we go. We have Emmanuel in the building. So
Hmm.
I didn't know how you guys wanted to start it out, which topics you wanted to go with first. So I guess I'll just hand it off to. Actually, before we get started, how are we doing this evening, brother? How's your week?
My week's been pretty tough, man. I appreciate it. What's up, Chris? What's up, L? What's up,
What's up?
Marcus?
Hey.
Just family stuff, man. Just bogged me down a little bit. I heard about that. I completely blanked out on her name, but that black woman that was missing for 2 weeks, and then they found her in the back of that police van in Huntsville,
Oh yeah.
Alabama, right?
Mm.
So,
Oh, Phyllis, I'm not familiar with the story.
well, apparently she disappeared. I didn't know anything about the story either, but apparently she disappeared for like 2 weeks, and then
Hmm.
somehow she mystically found her way to into a police van in Alabama, and now her family wants answers and like a separate autopsy because this doesn't make any sense. So, but yeah, just just stuff
Yeah,
like that, man. Shit.
I say you're not old pants shadow. I understand you work. Get up and super early. So I understand that, and I'm
I
just
get it,
glad that you
man.
were able to swing through and say hello
Hmm.
to us. I know you'll catch us on the recast, and I'll talk to you when I hop back on Discord. We'll shoot some messages back and forth. We got a couple things to talk about anyway, so I'm glad you're able to show the love and swing through. Um, and who else did I see just popped in the building? Mike, glad to see you in here. And hopefully it's a fun show and we can keep it rolling. I noticed before, like I talked about Franco, had he talked about the whole Joe Rogan and Sanjay Gupta special. I didn't get to see his portion. It already got yanked down before I was able to see it, and he received a strike for it. So I don't even know which areas, what he said that they found objectionable to even, to even try to thread the needle better and be careful on not saying the same thing because that's part of the problem when they strike these videos and yank them down. It doesn't give anybody any guide to not say the same thing and fall into that same trap. So um, that's also a topic I would like to get into it and talk about with the audience a little. I mean, well, with the panel a little bit more. L, exactly. That's the point. So that's something that I would definitely like to discuss. Um, and then, Chris, I guess we'll pass it off to you, and you can get us started on some of these stories.
What's going on, everybody? I see people. I see a couple of our usuals in the comment section. What's up to everybody? Variant, Key, Mike. The usuals. The story Emmanuel just talked about with the black woman. That came across my radar. I think I'm going to say yesterday. Um, that was just an unfortunate story, but again, it brings us back to the same old shit as usual. Police not doing what they're supposed to do, and them being the perpetrators and the criminals. We've seen the story numerous times. Um, I have to admit, I need to go and research more to see what, if anything, will happen to these cops. But this is Huntsville, Alabama. Um, if there's a definition of good old boys club, I think in Huntsville, Alabama, police department would be a great definition of good old boys club. I mean, they were so brazen they left the body in the police vehicle. Just think about that, right? If you were to commit a crime where you had a body still left, you didn't dispose of it, and you left it in your car and you just parked your car at the house, like, nobody gonna notice his body. I mean,
Wow.
you have to think like, oh yeah, you're probably I'm thinking about getting in trouble at that point, right? So it's just another sad, unfortunate case. Prayers out to that to that woman's family, and etc. Um,
Exactly.
as far as like what we have lined up for today, I'm not too sure where we want to start, but I know you mentioned Joe Rogan and Sanjay Gupta. And I did see that Franco's video was either deleted or his channel caught a strike, something like that. But
Both. Yeah, it was the
Yeah,
video was
they're doing
taken
like a
down
massive
and he
yankdown.
received a strike. Yeah,
you know,
that they've
I,
been. I know that they yanked down. Sorry to interrupt you, but they yanked down Franco. They yanked down something from Unapologetic recently, and I know that they yanked down something from Nico. And Nico, in his case, they're going back through previously recorded episodes and taking stuff down that was months old. I mean, that's what they did on my other channel with one of the videos I did when I was going into breaking points. That episode, it was at least about 3 weeks old at the time that they came back to me. Whereas whereas on our channel, literally the next morning, it's already down, strike, whatever they're going to do has already been done instantly. So it's kind of odd to me that now, I guess, even if you're being careful, what they're doing is they're like, okay, this specific person, we need to get rid of you. So let's just go back through, let's go back as far as we can to try to find something we can get you on.
yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, you know. I watched um, uh, I watched whatchamacallit, the Rogan and Sanjay Gupta thing. But real quick, going back to Franco, I think Franco said that he had already like made his video unavailable. He had taken down off his list of videos,
Mm-hmm.
and they still went after him for a video he had already deleted some time ago. So, like Emmanuel just said, they just coming at everybody for everything at this particular moment. Um, if you're not if you're not pushing the narrative, then you are viewed as some kind of enemy, and that's what we are, unfortunately, at this point in time. Um, I was actually kind of surprised that CNN allowed Gupta to go on to Rogan's show. I was wondering, I was wondering why.
Mm-hmm.
I was, I wanted to see what CNN had to gain from it. Um, hey, what's up, Signs? Um, I don't know what CNN's goal was in allowing Sanjay Gupta to appear there because, quite honestly, if you watch it, Sanjay Gupta looked like a moron. You know, like, okay, maybe this guy used to be a doctor. I know he plays one on TV. How true that is in real life, I don't really know if he's still actively seeing patients and treating patients. But what I can say is he looked extremely bad on his show in terms of having to um, ac- accept the situation for what it was and um, showing that he had some level of understanding. Uh, it, it was just really bad. Everything he said. I mean, my dude is stuttering. He even came up with the sad story about somebody died, and the last thing they said was they need the jab. I mean, it was just all ridiculous. You know.
I'm sorry I missed it.
Oh, you go back and watch it. It's well worth it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Marcus, are you on mute? I saw you talking.
He might be. Is he on mute?
No, I don't. You're completely.
Oh, yeah. I can't hear you at all, man.
Yeah. Oh, Mark is having technical difficulties. It's all good, man. We
By the
could.
way, the name is her name is Christina Nance.
Oh, the woman
Yeah.
from Alabama.
Yeah, the woman from Alabama's name from that was found in a Huntsville, Alabama police van is Christina Nance. I just want to make sure we got that correct. I don't want anybody to say we don't get our records and our facts straight. So just to clear that up.
Correct. Thank you, because I didn't know.
Right. I only heard about it I think it was yesterday, same as you. So.
Mm-hmm. I see Signs, as usual, has a good comment. You know, Gupta is a straight up hack, like Oprah's book club. I mean, it's true. I watched him and I was thinking to myself, this is a TV doctor, not a doctor on TV. You know,
Mhm.
he just came across that way, and it was just like CNN didn't have anybody else to what's the word sacrifice, so they sent his ass to Rogan. And I'm gonna
You
give
guys,
go ahead, Al.
Go ahead,
oh,
El.
do you remember the movie Contagion?
Yeah,
He was
Yeah.
in that. He was talking about social distancing in that clip.
hence my
Um,
hence my point that he plays
I'm
a
just saying,
doctor on TV.
this is the truth. Look it up.
Hmm.
Oh my God.
It's
Unbelievable.
a show. It's a beautiful show, and we're all watching it and
Forced to
enjoying it.
watch it.
Are you not entertained? I'm entertained. Thank you for
Mr.
entertaining us,
Street,
YouTube.
The laugh a minute.
you gotta laugh at
Laugh
this
a
shit,
minute.
man. It's
Right. I mean, the point, you have to point and laugh. I mean, I only thought YouTube was just going to come after us, but they're coming after everybody. Reach arounds for everybody. Screw it over everybody.
Unconsensual, of course.
Yes. Yeah.
unconsensual reach around
That-
for everybody. Like, yo, why is you touching
That
me?
prison love.
That's not. That's sad.
Seriously.
YouTube bringing that prison love for everybody. Everybody speak out of
Dear.
turn.
Nothing loving about the situation with YouTube at all.
Yeah, you know, again, it's just a sign of the crazy times we live in, where you put a TV doctor on television to go talk to the host of a show, where the person has no medical credentials, never went to medical school that we know of, and yet it's the person who doesn't have a medical degree has more sense than the one with the damn medical degree. So again, this is just where we are from 2020. It's 2020 all over again, you know.
Fuck.
Still can't hear him. Is it just me?
Marcus, you might have to like back out of here, do something because we can't hear you.
Right. Yeah, can't hear you.
You still on mute. You're gonna have to learn sign language. I only know a few signs. Like peace, fuck you. It's just like the bad words, right? It's just like anything else. You can't, you don't speak another language, but you just happen to know all the curse words in those languages. You know, that's how it is.
Yeah.
But the whole thing. Well, let me not say the whole thing. Let me say this. Go ahead, Marcus.
Yeah, sound check. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
We
thank
can hear you.
Yeah. Yeah, for some
Wow.
weird reason, whenever I have this tablet, I start having bad like connection issues just all of a sudden. They're pretty random, and then it takes a while for like it's like I don't know, it's like a big giant, and only certain parts wake up at a time. It's like okay, the audio is back for you guys, and then the screen unfreezes, and then I have to wait like another 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden, then my audio comes back. So glad you guys can hear me now.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking,
Yeah.
are we in Oz? Because you guys talking about that prison love, I mean, kind of something reminded me of Oz.
That's consensual. Some of the time it was consensual. Sometimes it wasn't.
Well, depends on what you mean consensual. Like the one episode, like I like walked in on because I like never really watched Oz. I watched one episode. I walked in, and dude was like, he had a spoon, and he was like, "Show me what you can do with that spoon." And then I was like, "Ew." And then he's like, "All right, now turn around." I was like, "Oh no, turn."
I was too young for that show when I was watching it. I liked how like otherworldly it was with the narrator and everything. And then like Beecher and Keller, I think their names were, they were like the main ship. And it was like really toxic, that relationship. That's all I remember.
Granted, one of my favorite shows does have to do with the prison, but it's about breaking out of prison.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Prison Break. Yeah, Prison Break.
Except that one dude. Ew, not that guy.
Yeah.
I was,
You're talking about Teabag?
Yeah,
Oh,
T-Bag. Fuck
God.
that guy.
Yeah.
Now,
And in real life, fuck him because other shit. But anyway.
now they're gonna get us for like bad sexual content and bad jokes. Now,
Yeah.
This isn't for children.
this channel this channel on his last leg, kid.
It's okay, pretty. You
I'm
know
sorry
I have
if that
another
happened.
pocket for you.
I put the Sanjay clip from Contagion in the chat.
Oh
Contagion
man!
clip with Sanjay Gupta is in the chat.
Thanks for reminding me about that, L, because I completely forgot about him being in Contagion.
Oh hell yeah!
Me
With,
too. I'm
Completely
like,
forgot.
Oh my God.
Lawrence Fishburne
too.
from The Matrix, of course. So
Mhm.
that all
I can't tell
works
you.
out.
I can't tell you how many movies that I've seen like Wolf Blitzer in. Goodness, they love to throw Wolf Blitzer into movies.
He's a bunch of them. He's in it. You know, I don't know why. They used to feature Fox a lot, like in the background, to make fun of them, but they don't even really do that too much anymore.
No, believe it or not, now what I've been noticing, because I've decided to just start going back through a whole bunch of new movies with like a different critical lens on it, and I'm noticing a lot more MSNBC that's in a lot of these movies. Like right now, I'm literally like before the show, I was watching Iron Man 3. And what is it? Thomas Roberts from MSNBC. That's who's in that one. And so I'm pretty sure there's going to be more clips because they have the Mandarin and it's supposed to be talking about terrorism and all that. And I notice if you really start paying more and more attention to these movies, like I really want to have an episode where we just talk predictive programming. Because, well, I mean, speaking of Prison Break, because it's on my mind, because I've been watching it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Who all out there has saw Prison Break? Like,
I saw like the first season, and I haven't watched it since it was on TV.
Okay, so about 2004, 2005-ish when you were watching it.
Well,
what
it
about
came
you?
back.
Well, yeah, it came back like after it did its first like 5
Like a little
seasons.
while, did like a little resurgence.
It did it. Well, they came back for one more season because
Like a little resurgence, like
They had
because
to wrap it up.
even though stateside it kind of started it started losing its viewership worldwide. It was picking up viewership at the same time, and so it was a high demand for one more season. And so also the character plays Michael Schofield, Wentworth Miller. He has gotten more political on the whole on the LGBTQ issues, so he decided that he didn't want to play any more straight characters.
Right.
And yeah,
I didn't know
yeah, he
Yeah, that he's gay. Yeah.
in fact, for that
It
last
has nothing to do
season,
with acting, though.
I mean, I don't know, I don't, yeah, I don't, I mean, I
Nothing
don't get
stops
it.
Neil Patrick Harris from doing it.
Yeah,
What's
I
his
mean,
problem?
well, I guess some of these people feel like if they're not being 110% activists for their cause, then it's no point. Which I'm like, why can't some of this just be pure entertainment? Why does it always have to be for some kind of aim? In fact, I would prefer our actors and thespians as a whole would just stick to the craft, and you don't have to always be political or leave your politics off the screen or off the stage or sometimes even out of the music. I'm not saying that you have to, but does it always everything have to be political?
Yeah, they do that for the gun roles, the roles where they use guns. Why can't they do that for anything else? Like, it doesn't make sense. It's the hypocrisy for me, because it looks like you're like muted again, but I think it's just me looking at it wrong. I'm on the wrong stream. Anyway, let's forget that happened. But like when people they show guns all the time in Hollywood movies, and they save the day in a lot of movies. I was watching somebody react to Halloween recently, the last one before this one, Halloween Kills, and the guns saved the day. Like, the guns were really important in the story. And
well, the guns always save the day.
Like, that's always the case in the Hollywood, but it's not the case in real life. So they can somehow differentiate they're characters from real life and gun control and all of that. A lot of these people, I mean, the really, militant ones, activist ones. But they can't do that for sexuality, and it doesn't make sense to me. Like, sexuality is as they say, a spectrum or whatever, and it's not really related to what you do or who you reach out to. Like, it's a part of you, but it's not the only part of you that matters. And now it seems like today, a lot of the time, you're shown that before anything. Like, that's what matters before the craft, before you're writing, before you're acting or you're directing. We have to know where you came from, what country you're from, what race you are, and who you fuck. And it's just none of our business, and we don't care. It's just at that point when most people don't give a shit who you fuck. It doesn't matter if I watch a movie by a gay or a lesbian or a straight person or non-sexual or whatever the fuck. I don't care. I'm just watching a movie. Like, I can watch The Matrix and not think about at all the transsexual aspect of it, like back in the day, and still enjoy the movie for what it is. And they always have to attach it afterwards. Lately, have you noticed that they brought up the trans part of it for The Matrix all of a sudden? Like, they were like having all these real world issues in the movie that you just have to like really find yourself, like, because it's not going to be very obvious to you about the trans agenda that they have going on in the movie. So I think that's interesting that they can like revise history and say, oh, this is what was happening then, actually, even though we weren't saying that back then.
Yeah, they tried to make the whole like Matrix thing an allegory about like trans. And okay, I will give, for instance, in the early storyboards, the character Switch.
Yes.
Switch was supposed to actually, I believe Switch is naturally supposed to be anatomically a female. Switch was supposedly in the storyboard supposed to change into a male character, and that was supposed to be a nod to transsexualism. But I'm like, in all honesty, maybe I'm a prude, but I get what's going on. It's like maybe the LGBTQ community feels like, well, since there's sexuality in all these movies, there needs to be more sexuality representing their point of view. I would prefer less sexuality overall. Let's get more back to like Disney movies when there's little kids, they hold hands, and then it cuts scene before they do whatever. We don't need to see all that extra shit. I mean, I don't value it. Especially the older I get, the more it makes me cringe to even see, I can see a woman who I find gorgeous and looks like a great couple. I don't want to see any of it. If I want to see nudity and all this other stuff, there's porn for that.
There's websites,
yes. Why do we need to force it into everything? Just like this comment Mr. Streets has here. Spider-Man and Superman upcoming comics is going to blow your mind. I already saw a graphic of what was it? Superman. He's supposed to be bisexual and he's kissing.
I didn't know about the Spider-Man one.
That's what I was.
I knew about the Superman one.
Street.
Yeah, what's the Spider-Man one?
With Spider-Man.
Well, Dean Cain had a comment that got a lot of play in the outrage world on Twitter, and people didn't even bother reading his comment. But it was a very interesting comment about the new trend of wokeism, of like shoehorning these ideas into these comics for virtue signaling purposes.
Yeah. And I get it. Oh, no, go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
I was going to read his comment because I thought it was interesting.
Sure, go ahead.
Because people are taking him, they just see a Republican saying something, somebody who supported Trump, and they're like, fuck off, stop talking about gay issues. Because the way they framed it in the Hollywood Reporter headline is they said Dean Cain slams Superman coming out as bisexual. It isn't bold or brave. Yes, he says that, but he's not saying he disagrees with the idea. He's saying it's fucking old as fuck. Like, it should have happened like a long time ago. It's not interesting today. So basically he says this. He says, they said it's a bold new direction. I say they're bandwagoning. And then he says, Robin just came out as bi, who's really shocked about that
Right.
one. And then he said the new Captain America is gay. My daughter in Supergirl, where I play the father, was gay. So I don't
Right.
think it's bold or brave or some crazy new direction. Let me put this in the chat so we can actually see the thing. Hold on.
Yeah, he was like he wanted comics to cover like, you know, people losing their homes and people losing their jobs and terrorism and wars and stuff like that.
All
Superman
right.
go and stop what's happening in Palestine, stuff like that. Like focusing on like real issues, like not saying that's not a real issue. I mean like focusing on like issues where they feel like they're directly affected, but they can't really do anything. So then the comic comes in and says, this is something that you really need to know. This is something you need to be aware of. That's what Dean Cain was saying. Dean Cain was saying there was like a lot of other stuff. There was like millions of other problems.
But it's also
they're significant.
What he's also saying is that it's not new. It's like getting like up in arms, like saying like Black Panther was a big deal when we had like a lot of Black heroes before that, and we have a lot of this kind of people before that, like in cinema, like they act like everything was just integrated, like with all these different kinds of people, diverse kind of people, like Asians and whatever. But it's not true. Like there's history before that. You're just ignoring history when you say this is the first thing to happen here. This is the first thing to happen there. It's not though. Can we screen share that? Okay,
yeah,
good.
it's a.
All right. So then he says, where I played the father was gay, so I don't think it's bold or brave or some crazy new direction. If they had done this 20 years ago, perhaps that would be bold or brave. Then he says, brave would be having him fighting for the rights of gay people in Iran, where they'll throw you off a building for the offense of being gay. And he said they're talking about having him fight climate change and the deportation of refugees, and he's dating a hacktivist, whatever a hacktivist is. Why don't they have him fight the injustices that created the refugees whose deportation he's protesting? That would be brave. I read that. Or fighting for the rights of women to attend school and have the ability to work and live, and boys not to be raped by men under the new warm and fuzzy Taliban. That would be brave. There's real evil in this world today, real corruption and government overreach, plenty of things to fight against, human trafficking, real and actual slavery going on. It'd be great to tackle those issues. So that's literally what these idiots are like complaining about who didn't even read this. Like, it's amazing. Like, there's nothing in there that's super offensive. Like, or Republican, really, except maybe the Taliban part. But like, that's true.
He just violated the narrative. It just looks like he violated that. He violated that narrative. He violated the narrative of we're focusing on this problem. We're not focusing on all of these other problems. These other problems are just other problems, right?
Yes, and
we're
also
we're not supposed to touch those.
The Superman is actually the son of Lois and Clark. So just so you guys know in the chat, this isn't just Superman. It's not his character. It's the son of the couple, Lois and Clark. So that's who's bisexual. So that everybody knows, because the headlines.
Let me say this, right? I grew up reading comics, right? I would go to a comic book store every Wednesday, right, for the new releases, you know. So I still have boxes of comics in my parents' house, right? With that being said, I didn't read Superman or Green Lantern or the Hulk for any of their love interests. You understand? To the extent that Superman had Lois Lane, cool, I never read it and wanted to see, let's see what Clark and Lois are going to get into today. Or let me see if Batman's going to finally get some from Catwoman. No, I wanted to see cool. I wanted to see them fight people. I wanted to see them play with their gadgets. I wanted to watch them figure out. I know, right? I wanted to watch them like figure out how to save the people or how to beat the bad guys or whatever. I didn't care about their sexuality. Yeah, they made Mary Jane from Spider-Man dress up sexy a couple times. And you know that caught my eye too. But again, I wanted to see if Spider-Man could be Carnage or Venom on his own without help. And now we're at Superman. You just did Robin, made him come out as bisexual. Now you're talking about John Kent, the new Superman, as bisexual. How come whenever they show these guys as bisexual, you never find them with a female? How come it's only, them being with a person of the same sex? It just feels like programming.
It's a way to toe both lines of the debate. Like, you can have it both ways. You can be gay and straight at the same time in the comic. You can have that straight look, and then you can also kiss a hacktivist or whatever. So, like, you can have it both ways and please both people. But I would like to say that as a girl who likes ships, apparently, one of my first ones was Catwoman and Batman, and Lois and Clark, of course. Like, those are my top two ships, and when it comes to comic books. So I will say that I did care about the love interest, but I didn't give a shit about other characters, just these two couples, because I would get mad if any other chick would get in the way. And then even on X-Men, I would always ship Rogue with Wolverine, which nobody else did. So that, I always had a weird thing about wanting them together and whatnot. Don't want to see them fuck or anything. That's not what I'm saying. But like having a loving relationship and having children, like Huntress with Batman and Catwoman, I loved that. That shit was my thing. So like whenever they had the Catwoman and Batman thing in the movies, I would just be really into it. And Mary Jane and Spider-Man, and then that stupid bitch. I forgot her name already. The other one, Gwen Stacy. I didn't give a shit about her. Yeah. But even in the movies, I was like, get the fuck out of here. Like, sorry, Emma, but leave. Just leave already.
Yeah, Wesley, you gotta fill us in on this. He said, "I read Fabulous Freak Brothers, and it ruined ordinary comics for me forever."
I've never
around age 7. I'm like, whoa, he really dug one out on us, because we're all too young and I guess to know about this. So please, in the chat, fill us in more on that. In fact, Elle, if you can you look that up and try to find it? Because I consider I consider myself a comic book head, and I used to I loved all the comics, and it was more for the story, and it had to do with their sexualities. It had to do more with the like, for instance, Batman, all the different gadgets, the trauma and stuff that he had. Daredevil didn't have his father around, and a lot of the different superheroes, them, I guess, not having their fathers around, kind of reached out to me, because I was a kid who grew up without my father being in the picture for the most part. And so I that story caught my attention. And also just the different gadgets. I mean, yes, I did like some of the superheroes who had powers, but the gadgets were always what caught the biggest amount of my attention. Whether it was Batman, whether it was Iron Man, Tony Stark. I even like some of the off the wall ones, like what you've never heard of. Like, how many people out there have heard of Bonk, the Wonder Twins? I mean, some of that stuff like that. I mean, Bonk was like a little kid with a big, huge head who used to like headbutt everything. Yes.
Graphic 16, Bonk.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's right.
Yeah.
God,
and so I gotta share this one, because this comment is outstanding by Science.
Yeah,
it says, "I thought bisexual was when you actually paid for sex." Wow.
It is, and it'll be with robots soon.
Science, come get your ring. You won the championship today.
Yeah. You win on that comment.
MVP.
I'm blown away with how sex has gotten so big into comic books, and I mean, I guess I'm gonna take the heat for
Marcus,
saying,
hasn't it always been that way though? Like, I guess
not really. You've had, like, they will throw certain characters in there, which it'll get a little, like, for instance, you had Mary Jane. With He-Man, you had She-Ra. You had characters in there, Catwoman, who had sex appeal, but it wasn't focused on their sex appeal. Catwoman was her ability to sneak in, and how she would kind of play around with Batman's head And it wasn't about her physicality or her body or them actually
I mean, I
even
was going to
kissing
say
or
that
doing
the way
anything.
most of
Yeah, it is.
well, I was going to say the way most of the comic
Sorry.
book women were dressed. I mean, there's like an
They're
official trope
voluptuous.
for that.
Well,
I agree. I mean, I'll
well,
give you
that's
that.
the thing.
Right.
Look,
Right.
all they had to do was draw them as voluptuous as they were, and then you leave it alone. Your mind goes from there. Did they have panels and scenes in which you know what was going on? Yes. But to me, that never felt like the focus.
It was never the focus. Yeah, that
It
was
just,
what we were saying.
Right.
yeah, it never seemed to be the focal point. It just seemed to be like, okay, well, this happens in the course of life with adults, right? Cool.
There
But
have always been spicier comics
and
based
that's
on
what I was going to
actual,
say. There's if you read some of those, if you read some of those like Conan books, that was straight like
Oh yeah, Conan was just straight.
tied,
I
pick
mean,
up in the cave and take advantage of her. Like,
it went it went everywhere, nowhere. I mean, it was wild. It just and
nah,
they're trying to bring Conan back into the modern age, stuff like that. And I'm just like,
they're not
well,
going
you
to be
know
able
what?
to
Whatever
do
works for you. I mean, they're working it. I mean, I don't know if it's working, but they're trying to
Well,
work. They're trying
well,
to work it.
the most sexual one was heavy metal. What was it? Heavy Metal 2000. I don't know if you guys remember that, but that was
Wasn't that based? Didn't they do a movie off of that?
yeah. And that
Yeah,
movie,
they did.
it is definitely not for kids. Now,
Right.
even some of the ones which were a little bit more adult in theme, they still weren't the main focus wasn't sex. It was just more graphic violence, and the bad guy was like a real bad guy. Like, how come I can't think of it? The Watchmen. The Watchmen was like
oh
very,
yeah,
very brutal. And some of
Hmm.
the scenes were like over the top. Like, in the Watchmen movie that they had just recently. All right, granted, I know they have it as a TV show on I think Showtime or HBO, one of those. I think it's HBO.
Ugh.
But
HBO. HBO.
but in the movie, for those who haven't seen it, this movie's super old, so I'm sorry if I'm spoiling anything for you. They shoot her in the stomach. He shoots her in the stomach. Well, in the comic book, he literally cuts her stomach open and rips the baby out, and then like stomps it. So it gets very, very brutal in some of those comics. Um, but I was going to say, yeah, the main focal point was never on sex and sexuality. It was a part of it. It played a part, of course. And if you're trying to sell comics to an audience which is mostly teenage boys, of course you might shade it to what you believe their
Right.
interest is, which most of those boys, and let's just be honest about saying it, most of those boys were heterosexual boys. Let's just be honest.
Mhm.
So heterosexual boys were obviously going to be more interested in a voluptuous woman.
I hear
I guess
some.
I just missed the days of I guess I just missed the days of like
What is that?
Like the Disney movie Robin Hood,
Yeah,
where
I mean,
you heard later like little girls had a crush on like Robin Hood or whatever, but it wasn't the focal point of the movie. The focal point of the movie was to rob the rich, steal from the poor, get back at Prince John, right? But
Mhm.
it was in there, you saw it, but it wasn't the main. It didn't push the movie. It was just something that you just kind of acknowledged that Marion and Robin were like together.
Mhm.
So I mean, I get it, but now, yeah.
It's all it's all weird, and then this kind of leads us into like or back
see,
to like even Netflix and the Dave Chappelle thing. So I don't know if everyone saw this, but supposedly
what?
there was like there was going to be a demonstration by the Netflix employees. Supposedly it was going to be a
Mass
thousand.
walkout, right?
Yeah, it was going to
Yeah,
be a
that
mass
mass
walkout,
walkout.
a mass
Do
protest
it.
against what against the company allowing the closer, Dave Chappelle's latest special, to be
And
on the
last.
platform. So, with that being said, the woman got fired who was planning the damn walk, who was then planning the protest. She got fired, and of course, the headline is I think it was a trans person too. So the headline is going to be
She is.
okay. The headline is going to be trans worker fired for trying to organize a strike. No, you shared information with the media about your company that was not supposed to be shared, and you were fired for it. So
Could
just make
I
sure you just keep that in mind before you start feeling bad for people. Yeah,
Can I say something about that? I looked
Yeah,
at
go
her
ahead.
Twitter, and she had an email where they said that it was a mistake firing her. So I think we should be a little more up to date on that. That she did get in disciplinary trouble, and they were going to fire her, but then they reinstated her because they said that she was able to get the link to this meeting. And it wasn't against the rules for her to do so. So that's what they said themselves in their little email that she tweeted out. So I do want to just add that, and also add that last time I kind of said some stuff about my VPN. Let's try to move on from it, but I did want to fact check myself because I'm trying to hold myself accountable before YouTube does. And I said some stuff like that I couldn't access the special with the VPN. Netflix and VPNs do not get along. They hate VPNs. They have trouble in some countries even working with the VPN. So I will say that that's not just about the closer special. It's about them just fucking with regions. So I wanted to say that Ted Sarandis actually came out in support of Dave, and I guess we'll get to his statement soon. Regarding that, which also caused some people to get upset again.
Because I think he brought somebody else into it, right?
Yeah.
He brought somebody else into it, right? And I think she was like, don't drag me into this. I can't remember her whole statement. It was like, don't drag me into this. I don't want to do.
Yeah, I have this statement that he had said here in Variety. And I love the title.
Look, and the guy from Netflix basically just said, look, the way we look at it, I mean, just to sum it up real quick, look, we're supportive of Dave. We're supportive of our employees. You know, we tell them they can all give us feedback, pushback, whatever. But we don't feel that what is said on these shows leads to real world violence. And
real world harm is what he said. Yeah.
Yeah. But so with that being said, look, Emmanuel, if I walk up to you and punch you in the face, I'm going to catch an assault charge or battery charge, right? If you do that to somebody of that community, there's a good chance that you may face hate crime charges. So,
yeah,
not only
even if you don't know who they are, like what's going on with them, like if they pass, you know, you could end up getting in trouble.
Mm-hmm. So you're probably getting a lot of trouble. So to advocate violence against him is wrong just off top, right? And two, it's actually really stupid because you're going to get in a lot more trouble. So again, let me just repeat that, all right? It's wrong. You should not incite violence against them, period. And if you do it, you're going to pay for it twofold than you would as if it was just somebody else. So you got to be very careful. But at the end of the day, I don't know why they are still crying about Dave Chappelle. You must not have a whole lot going on in life.
Yes.
Complaining about Dave Chappelle.
They need something to complain about. Somebody needs something to complain about. I'm not just saying they in general. I'm like, the people online who are reading these stories need something to complain about. The people who write these fucking headlines like this one, where they said in Variety that Ted Sarandis doubles down on Dave Chappelle defense. Content doesn't directly translate to real world harm. Exclusive from Matt Donnelly. Yeah, well, Matt Donnelly, you know what? You could try being unbiased every once in a while. Maybe people will take you seriously as a reporter. That's all I'm saying. So, like, you just have to be upset about something. You have to have a narrative about something. It's just so fucking dumb now. Like, people are so over it. And then Hannah comes in and it's like, I just watched a couple of one clip on Netflix is a joke on YouTube of her special that she had recently that did poorly, that people hated. I forgot the name of it. It's so bad. But she had these dumb jokes. They weren't even jokes. They're just observations about herself and her comedian life. And then she ends with like, I'm not going to put myself down anymore because everybody else wants to put me down and kill me and all this stuff. It was just so not funny in
Hey,
any way.
is anybody hearing the feedback? Kelly said she's getting a weird static feedback.
It's gone now for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think you fixed it.
I kind of hear it every now and then.
Oh, I see. I hear it now.
I guess.
Yeah, I hear it every now and again.
It's just every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
It might be the earphones.
Oh, well,
or
I guess
something.
if it's not killing anybody, then we can keep on rolling. Yeah, I noticed. My issue with it is, I feel like it also has to do with just where we are at this point in the world. We're just dealing with a lot of people who, I think it goes back to what they call it, hovering parents, and then helicopter parents, where they taught their kid that everything in life has to just be perfect. And I'm sorry to break it to everybody. There's not going to be any perfection. There's not going to be a world where you're not going to get any kind of complaints and everybody's going to be kumbaya. That world is never going to come. And the moment that we start coming to realization with that, the better. I mean, I realize that, like, for instance, like, as a minority male, in this country, uh, as long as we're able to not get shot down in the police like we do every 5 minutes, or every 28 hours as the static goes, that would be an achievement. I'm not pushing for every good old boy in the South to go in his mind and stop him from using racist jokes. I don't care about that. As long as when I go to the bank, he's not giving me shit and denying me a loan because of the color of my skin, or if he's not, or they're deciding I'm not going to hire this person because their sexuality or whatever. But my thing is, where is the end goal? Where is the line going to be at? Do we have to get to the point where free speech is completely just outlawed, and now we have to go in and start controlling your thoughts also? I'm like, if that's the level that we have to go to in this, what I call censorship community, because we're being censored on the fact of we can't even say our reasonings and evidence to why we have issues with some of the narrative um, coming out from the CDC and the WHO and the FDA. We can't even talk about those things, even though they people much bigger than us are allowed to come out and say literally the same things that we say on this platform. And what that tells me is it's about one of two things: either these people have a certain level of money and status and they're scared to mess with them, so they're going to allow them to say and do whatever they feel like because they know if they rock those boats they're going to get in trouble. And us, we don't have the level to push back, so they're going to just bully and censor us. And or the other thing, like me and Chris talked about before the show, we believe that since a lot of these stories that they're pushing out, they know that there's a lot of flaws with them. They're going to keep us from saying anything, or kind of almost try to provoke us to say something so they can exile the independent media. And it looks like it's an affront to go after independent media, because we see what's been going on with the mainstream. The mainstream has been, dwindling its viewership, and as you go down the different age bracket, it gets worse and worse and worse. And what that spells for them is doom in their future. And so, if there is no outlet for them to go to, you know, then they're able to find a way to either force their content, whichever they want to do it. And it's the same thing with this woke media. I mean, like how we talked about with the comic books. I'm just going to go on ahead and say it, and you guys can, for those who watch this and who might have some issues with it, I guess, it'll just be what it is. But let's talk about the percentages of people who actually identify as LGBTQ. That percentage is very small. Now, that's this small group of people now. Granted, a lot of these people in that community have a lot of power in Hollywood, in Congress, in areas like that, and they just happen to be doing what I say is the same thing which happened in with white South Africans. White South Africans were a minority, and they ruled over a majority of people. And every issue that they felt was an issue had to be addressed. Whatever, all the other problems that were going on in apartheid South Africa did not matter. That minority group, whatever their issues were, that became everybody's issues. And I just happen to feel like because there are a lot of power in the LGBTQ arena at the top, it's kind of like that same Karen, issue. One complains to the manager, and then it shuts down everything, and that's what I'm starting to see. Like we talked about with I don't even remember her name, but from the Dear White People show. This one powerful person in the LGBTQ community starts
Jacqueline
bitching,
Moore.
and then everybody's in Jacqueline Moore. Thank you. Everybody has to fucking jump because this one person is pissed off, and that's what we're starting to see more and more in this woke identity politics era that we're in. If one person in this group who's powerful, and it doesn't matter if it's LGBTQ, pick your group X, Y, Z, whatever. If you're powerful and you're a so-called minority, you can push your will. And it's one thing getting freedom and
Equality.
what's the word?
Expression.
Equality. It's one thing
Yeah,
getting
okay.
freedom, quality, but when it starts getting to the point where I don't even want you to complain. I don't even you're going to not only accept me, you're going to like it. That's what we see is kind of going on.
That's all, Marcus, let me jump in real quick. That's what I really would like to ask. Do you want equality or do you want special status?
That's like feminism.
Correct. You can't have it. You cannot have equality and special status at the same time. Pick and choose one. If you want special status, then you need to be put in a bubble like the NBA was last year, and you need to be left alone. And don't come over here. You stay in your bubble over there with your special status. If you want equality, then you're gonna get these jokes and comments and everything else.
Yeah, that means you're a part of our crew, man. That's good. Like, we accept you as a human being. How is that not like a good thing for people to be accepted into a group where you can make fun of them? Like, that's good. South Park, they did that all the time. Like, they would make fun of everybody, and then they kind of lost their edge later. But at the beginning,
Right,
it was
they
just
did,
like a
but-
free for all. But
Yeah, they did.
That's a
nobody
comment
had
for
a
you,
problem
Al.
with it.
Go ahead.
No one had a problem.
She
Yeah,
replied
here-
Marcus in the comments.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I missed it.
No, you straight.
No, but going ahead, El.
Yeah, I'm just like, bewildered at what, I just looked up Ted Sarandis and I saw this little thread on Twitter from Out Magazine. They just love to like divide people, I swear. And they say that he can say, we have a strong belief that content on screen doesn't directly translate to real world harm. When last year they released the Netflix original Disclosure doc, which included salient scenes like this, and it just shows clips from the thing. Yes, because get this, it's a streaming site. They have all kinds of content. That's what's so good about Netflix when you think about it. You can fucking watch a Syrian propaganda film over here and then go watch Squid Game the next, time you watch something. Or you can watch Riverdale, or you can watch what was the Disclosure about like aliens and shit. And then you can watch whatever you want to watch. Sex education.
Netflix is the reason.
whatever.
Yeah, Netflix is the reason why I watch Canadian television. I would have never looked at any.
Netflix is the place where you
I would have
watch
never
things.
looked at any
It's
of
not
it
about
if
ideology.
Netflix hadn't happened. I mean, right.
It's about accepting
Yeah, I
all
mean,
kinds
I
of
do.
points of view.
I do watch a lot of foreign stuff on Netflix, true. So, but yeah, I mean, at what point is it going too far? And another thing I noticed, somebody brought this up. You know, there were LGBTQ people which were in the audience, and they were laughing and joking on all this other stuff. You had no problem while he talks about racist stuff and while he says stuff which is denigrating the black people. You have no problem while he's denigrating other people. But then all of a sudden, when he talks about you and your people, now that's too far. You can't talk about us. And it's like, what the? I mean, then you have no right to laugh at any of the rest of the jokes either. Then you need to just get up and you have your own comedy onto your own self if you can't take jokes. I'm not saying that every joke necessarily is even funny or not, but if you don't like it, okay, you don't have to laugh at it, you don't have to love it. But when you want to start trying to shut it down for like the other 98% of Americans, because yes, out of that percentage of LGBTQ in America, what, let's say at most it's about 10%. Out of those who had a problem with it, maybe what we're talking about, maybe 3% of those people had a problem. I mean, not 3%, but out of that 10%, 3%. So let's say 30% of LGBTQ people had a problem with it, and it just so happens to be the people who have a lot of power and wealth within that
Yeah.
community. Just like somebody brought up, if he would have said black trans or black gay, you wouldn't have heard no gripes and complaints
Cricket,
hardly about none of
silence,
this shit.
nothing. Tumbleweeds, cicadas,
Yeah.
crickets,
You know, and
nothing.
I see this tie where, you know what? If you say black in it, you can talk whatever trash you want about anybody. You can make jokes about, abortion, black abortion, getting pulled out of cop cars and beaten to death. All that's all fair game.
Did
But
they
the
not watch
moment
the
that
Chappelle
somebody,
show?
Look, this is the first time where somebody said something and they made a point, and almost instantly was their point proven by society at large. I mean, it's in real time. His show comes out, he makes the comment, that community responds, and only thing they want to do is keep it up in the media, keep it up. First it's Variety, now it's you see it reported on this network, on that station, on this website. It's overkill. And again, they're lucky that most people don't pay attention to this stuff on the level that we do, because they might actually have like people like straight up show up to their offices. So they're lucky that most people's heads are stuck in the matrix. Wait, what is that
let's
comment
see,
say?
what was that coming?
Yeah, I want
Yeah, I
to read.
just saw that. Said, black queer person here. I don't want to be a part of your group of harm disguised as jokes. Grew up with people, mainly other black people, making fun of me. We are here.
See, this is
Y'all
what
don't
I'm
hear us
talking
though.
about.
The thing about it, no, and I'll address this. It's not about. It's not about. You know. Here's the thing. There is no person. I don't care who you are. Anywhere in life that you are not going to have somebody who is going to ridicule you and have an issue with you. The fact that the LGBTQ community feels like they should have nobody who will say anything at all, joke or unjoke. It doesn't matter if it's not a joke or not. It is. Does somebody have to like the queer community? No, they don't. It is their right. For instance, when I was in the military, we used to have I can't remember the name of the group, but they would show up at veterans' funerals and say all kind of horrible,
Oh yeah.
horrendous crap. And that is their right. That is somebody's right to be hateful and nasty and whatever. Get over it. I've grown up dealing with people calling me nigger and all kind of stuff my whole life. It is a part of life, and it is something that is not going to go away. There are people. It's their right to fly the Confederate flag, to fly a Nazi flag if they want to. It is people's right, and at some point you need to understand it is their right. Just get over it.
Yeah, I don't.
And my point, and what they said is, I get that, but as a queer person, I don't have any real power. That's what I was. That's what I was saying. If he would have just said black queer person, then nobody would even be complaining at all. Nobody would even be. Nobody would have said
They don't
anything.
have power.
It's only because white queer people at the top who everything they, and it's not even just on the queer issue. It's a white privilege issue. That's what's going on here. That's what we're talking about. Everybody has to deal with some kind of crap with it, whether they like it or not. There are people who are overweight who got to deal with people making fat jokes. That's a part of their reality. There's people who
we're
are short
changing that.
that got to deal with people making short jokes. There are people, everybody's dealing with some kind of shit. You guys are not the only person who have people that say nasty, horrible things or hateful things towards you. I'm not saying that it's okay and it should be justified, but it is life. You're not going to eradicate that part out of life. As long as they are not infringing on your rights to be able to have a job, apartments, all of these different actual rights. But when you go into what people say about you, that's getting too damn far.
I know we're at
the sorry, panel.
No, you good. I mean, we're just at the point. Like again, when I was in school on the buses in New York City, like there was some, you got cracked on for everything. Your book bag, your jacket, your jeans, your sneakers, your socks, your haircut.
The
everything.
dozens, basically.
You had to.
Exactly, Jimmy.
Deal and learn how to get by that. You know what I'm saying? Either you stayed in the front of the bus, so you stayed away from the jokes, or if you went down, or if you went to the back of the bus, you just had to be prepared. You had to be sharp with your comeback.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Liz. I didn't mean to get to, but I've just noticed a lot of, like, for instance, that the baby. I don't even listen to his music. I don't really know much of his music, but the fact that he's having to lose hundreds of thousands of dollars and his career is basically being destroyed because he said one thing about a group of people and they have the power to actually inflict that pain back. I don't have the power to push back on anything. Anybody can say any damn thing they want to about me and ain't shit I can do about it.
They got him removed from all those festivals. As I said, I think maybe last week or week before, the baby was being booked and now, they had dropped him from all of them shows. So it just goes
he's pretty much blacklisted at the moment, right?
Well,
in
some spaces, look, Kanye's album came out. Kanye had to make sure the baby had a verse on one of the most popular songs on the album. So, 50 Cent is working with him. And he's still popular in the circles he needs to be popular in. It's just that the people who control the media, they will put certain stories at the forefront to make you think that a majority of people feel or think this way when, in fact, no, they really don't. There's probably less people concerned with the baby's comments than the media would have us believe. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. But and I want to say one more thing. Because I have a friend who just recently came out to me that he was gay and that he had an interest in me, and I told him, I would help you, find somebody, but I'm not, I'm straight, and my thing is, if I was out and I saw somebody trying to bully you face to face, somebody try to lay a hand on you, I'm gonna be one of the first people over there ready to throw a punch for you. That I'm not saying that it should be allowed for you to be picked on and bullied. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the power dynamic out of Hollywood, specifically how they use their power in this arena, is being unwielded in a fair manner. And it's only because they're worried about themselves. They are not worried about they're not worried about helping the community as a whole, as they say. That's kind of more or less the point I'm trying to say.
Also, we are a human community. Like, they want to separate it into these groups because it's easier to attack one another. When one group has the power at one point, and then they can wield it over someone else and their group, and then you go back and forth, and then they create all of these situations where there's more animosity and more hatred. But there's not really hatred. It's just upset, people being upset at the situation that's been created for both of them to go at it. So I want to explain that I specifically love everybody, no matter who they fuck, as long as they're not fucking their family members or anyone without their permission, anyone. So I have
And
no
animals.
problem.
Well, let's not forget the animals either.
And
Let's
animals.
not forget the
Animals
animals
cannot
either.
consent. Let's just say that for Twitter, because there are people on Twitter who believe that they can consent. They cannot. Animals cannot consent to human animal sex. It is not possible. Okay, so now that we've gotten that out of the way, love everybody, treat everybody with respect, and make fun of everybody, because we're all here to have a fucking laugh.
And while we're bringing up the animals, it still blows my mind. I think this was what was it, like a one of those Chevy Chase movies, and the guy, he asked him, like, "What are you in for?" And he's like, "For molesting a horse." And I'm like, "Oh my god, you molested a horse!"
Oh, dear.
I mean, yeah, I'm sorry, bad joke, but
That's something the young
it just stuck into my head.
Cenk Uygur wanted that to be legal at one point, so we could
Cenk Uygur, Cenk needs to be. I think that we all can be in agreement, no matter sexuality, that Cenk is a piece of shit. How about that?
I could take him.
Yeah, I don't.
Wait, remind me who that is again?
Oh shit.
Cenk Uygur, the young turd.
Yogurt.
Oh yeah, Cenk Uygur. Okay.
Yeah, the young
right.
turds. Speaking of the young turds, I guess I'll try to be careful saying this comment. Yes, exactly. I'll be careful trying to say this comment. And actually, he recently talked about that he wanted to fight somebody, and I'm like, oh, I would pray. I would give every dollar to charity, but please, Cenk, fight me. Oh, it was Joe Rogan he wanted to fight. Fight me. Please, just fight me. I'm already here in California. I'm not that far away from you. I mean, I'm only maybe about 30 minutes away. We can do this. We can even do it off camera. You could just tell people how it happened, and it'll go to the charity. But please, fight me. Fight me. I forgot all the way. I forgot what I was gonna say when she brought Jenks. I can't stand that fat piece of shit. No, I'm not fat shaming. I'm not trying to shame people for their weight, but I cannot stand that bloated, loudmouth piece of crap who always thinks he's correct and who has grifted so many of us. I mean, I used to be a fan of that show, and I used to listen to them, and thank God I never put any money or dollars behind them. But all the people that they have grifted. Oh, that's what I was going to bring up. I was going to bring up, yes, Cenk versus the Rage. Yes, the Rage would love a piece. The Rage would love a piece. But what got me raged out on Twitter recently is one of their former cohorts, and Emma Vigeland. She was, and I'll be careful with this, but Emma Vigeland lied about the vaccinated numbers for the Black community, saying that it was about 70%, which you can look at the CDC and what is it, CDC and the what is it, WHO, and it's roughly about 30%, not 70. And she got ratio pretty nasty on that. So shout out to everybody out there who did go after her ass. Yes, Marcus does rage. He rages quite often. I'm trying to work on it. I am.
Oh, we got an echo now.
I don't know where that was coming from. Yo, Marcus is fucking funny, man. I can't even lie, yo.
But y'all to hear the conversations that we have like behind camera, because then you guys can hear me a little bit more uncensored. Like if they ever let us on Rockfin, you guys it'd be beautiful. The stuff that you guys would get to hear us say.
Correct, because I could say really what's in this crazy place in here. Like here, I haven't been
That
like,
man, that man has a sensor on him like I've never seen before. He is so good at censoring himself. I have a hard time with it because I can't help it. I would be a terrible poker player because I can't hide what the hell is on my mind. I cannot hide when I'm feeling a type of way. And there's a certain group of people, small group of people who have a lot of power and wield it in a certain way, and they happen to be a part of these same fuckers who are censoring us on this channel. Um, yeah, I bet somebody else talk. I need to shut up for a moment.
yeah. I mean, we already know. And L, I don't hear your neighbors in the background, so don't start fighting with your neighbors, L.
Um,
No, she's
no,
gonna
they're
film them. That's what she's gonna do.
well, I did that once, yeah.
Bring him to court.
But they're not my direct neighbors, so I can't do anything because they're next door to like this building, so they're like away. But
Exactly,
they're still
Thomas. That's what I'm
too far away
saying.
to make
Rogan
that
would just
noise.
UFC all over that man.
No chance.
You
Well,
know,
he
they
wouldn't
should do-
have to.
Rogan should have to fight Cenk and Chris Cuomo at the same time. Like that will almost make it even.
Oh my gosh.
That will almost that's equivalent to like 1-on-1 almost. You know what I'm
Where
saying?
where did Andrew go? Where did Andy go? Andy Cuomo. Is he
I
getting?
would,
You
I
know.
would just, I would just like to see Jank jog in place for 3 minutes straight. I mean, if he can do that, I mean, I'll send him some donation alone.
Maybe go a
Elias, I
few
hope
years
I'm saying
without.
that correct. Says this is my first time
Appreciate it,
listening. I really
Lies.
appreciate y'all passion. We don't always have to agree, but I feel the love here. Subscribe.
Yeah.
Yes, there is
Love
love
you.
here. And I honestly feel I don't feel comfortable talking about a lot of these issues when it gets to sexuality because I don't like to. I feel like whatever a person wants to do in the bedroom or if they want to have whatever partner, that's their business. It is not for me to decide at all. But I also feel like you should be able to have, the if you want to be with whoever you want to be with, just like for instance, I've been seeing lately like what is it, the like 19-year-old guys who have been dating like the 75-year-old women. That might be a little. That's not my cup of tea, but if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. I mean, hey, I
And they're doing
guess
75?
love has no barrier. You haven't seen that yet? Oh, I gotta
No.
As
send it
long
to
as
you.
they're of age.
I gotta send it to you. They're legal, so I mean they're legal.
I've
I
seen
mean they're
obsessions
adults.
with
I
that.
mean, but yeah. Thomas says Marcus Uncensored. Now that would be interesting and entertaining. LOL. Come on, Rockfin. Hey, get
It really
Marcus on
would.
the
It would
platform.
be
I
very.
mean, I go every now and then. I will do. I'll go on with Franco or one of the guys, and I'll go on their Rock Friends Uncensored, and you get to hear a little bit more, and also sometimes we have a little bit deeper conversations, which keep that penciled in. I'm not sure when I'm going to do it, but I will call in that favor and get Nico on here. I've been wanting to talk to him for a while, so I'm gonna try to definitely bring Nico on sometime soon. So keep an eye out for that. And it's not going to be like anybody else's. It's not going to be like anybody else's interviews. Trust me. Me and Nico have talked about a couple of different things, so I got some different, angles and questions that I would like to ask him on some whole nother topics than some of the. I'm not trying to shit on anybody else, but some of the people asked him some kind of standard boring questions, which you could just look at some of his previous interviews. I'm going to ask him some stuff which you normally would never hear anybody ask him. So keep an eye out for that. Yes, thanks, Wes. I would love to get on Rockfin also. What we are probably going to work on also, after we got our second strike, we're going to be moving to an alternate platform. I mean, not completely moving, but we're going to be starting an alternate platform. And that way, once we get the alternate platform, Elle, we can see your ceiling. You guys she might slip up and come on camera.
That was
Wrong.
just a peek.
I shouldn't have said anything.
No, I did it
But
on purpose. It was just a peek.
But one of these times, I'm going to actually get that set up, and once we get that other platform up and running, and we can start getting more and more of our people over there, um, then eventually we're going to start, getting more into some of these topics. Let's see. Kelly says. Lies is live. Welcome, and if you have a channel, please make sure to talk about it. We can get you on here and bring you in a part of the panel. I like to have discussions with everybody and let everybody's different voices be exalted, I'll say. Kelly says, back to Kelly's comment, as a Caucasian atheist, I don't agree with everything said here, but enjoy the back and forth. Yes, for those who don't know, I am a religious guy. Well, I don't consider it religious. I consider it more faith-based.
Well, I
Religion,
am an
that
atheist.
alludes to organized religion. Yeah, my brother down below, Emmanuel, is an atheist also. And so he's able to tolerate um, my crazy zealous ass at moments. So, hopefully the rest of you guys can, tolerate it also. And I
Yeah,
also don't try to
his
force
least.
my beliefs on anybody. I don't
As you
force my beliefs on anybody. Or I don't know. I'll let the panel decide. Do I try to force my beliefs on you guys? Hope
Nah.
not. They're
Mm-mm.
not under
No,
duress.
No.
Okay.
No.
I was like,
I just think
I don't
like
have a gun secretly to their heads. and
no,
and we do, and also we as a panel don't always agree on everything. I mean, last week, as you guys saw, if you stuck around towards the end of the show, it was kind of 2 to 1. L and Chris were kind of more on the same page, and I was trying to argue my point, and hey, we're not always going to be on the same point. We're not always going to be the same on all issues, and that's a good thing, because then we're just fucking robots, and that's no fun for anybody. So,
Hey,
there
Kelly,
goes Kelly starting up her mess.
I know. I just saw Kelly. Well, I'll put it this way. Hey, Kelly, you may have to tune into the OnlyFans if the workplace says I got to take the shot. The OnlyFans will be
All
going
right.
everyone will be on OnlyFans soon.
third leg action all day. I
Yeah,
need that.
and I'll probably be driving a rickshaw, so just look out for that too.
That's what I'm saying. Um, Yo, did you going back real quick? Did you guys watch Don Lemon talk to Gupta after the Rogan interview?
Yes, that was such bullshit right there.
He did. I did not. I did not see that. Please inform
I didn't
us.
see that either,
I
man.
saw a clip
Please.
of
Oh
it.
my god.
Don Lemon is the definition of pathetic, and I'm being real nice because we're on YouTube. Um, Lord help my soul. I'm telling you,
He doubled down on the dewormer, the horse
he
dewormer.
he was like, well, we're not wrong for saying it's a horse dewormer. Like, but nobody was talking about that to begin with, So you're disingenuous as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Um, I just have a special dislike for him as well. He's another one that's on the list. I'll be measured in what I say. I don't think anybody really should be watching him or listening to him.
Well, let's put it this way: we here, and I think I hope I can speak for the team of the Political Matrix when I say there is no love for the Boule class at all. So, oh shoot, there goes another peak, y'all. That's you guys closest to L's fans only right there. Oh,
And her hand.
oh.
So the hand in the air.
So you see that she is an actual person. It is not just a recorded voice. It is an actual person attached to that voice that
This one's for
lives in that
YouTube.
room. Yes,
That's for YouTube.
and those sentiments for all of you guys, and so you know what? Let's be a little bit cultured with it. I'll say it in Italian for him. Vaffanculo, mangaloide bastardo. For those who speak Italian, you guys can figure out and tell them what that means. They said, "Oh, Wesley liked it. The naked hand. It was all naked, just for you."
Gross. Calm down.
Marcus, I wanted to ask you something real quick.
Yes, sir.
What were your thoughts on the La Palma volcano explosion that happened yesterday?
That is that's I've been noticing a lot of these events, and I guess I'll speak for me only. This point, I'm definitely speaking for me and not for the rest of the panel. As the person of faith, I believe all of these things are starting to ramp up towards an end time event. Now, do I believe, like Wesley was saying, that the Bible made him an atheist, but now science has made him agnostic? What I would say as a pushback to that is the way most of Christianity understands the Bible would make damn near everybody an atheist. Luckily, I am not a Christian, and I believe that most of their understanding is complete dog shit. Just like, for instance, a Christian would be like, "He said shit. Oh my God, it's the end of the world." Well, and it says no cursing in the Bible. That's like talking about an actual hex curse. I curse for spirits. That's a curse. When you're literally like wishing horrible and badness on somebody, saying a foul word. I mean, there's even a scripture in there that says, don't worry if I'm rude in speech, which that's alluding to so-called cursing or cussing. But I do believe that these are all events that are leading up, and it talks about towards the end time what's called Jacob's trouble. And during Jacob's trouble, there are going to be all kind of world events. They're going to be what it calls wars and rumors of wars. It's going to be different famines, plagues, pestilence, and a lot of different things like that are going to start happening. And I believe that when it's talking about these things, it's talking about them in actual real events. So some of these are going to be actual like famines and it's not going to be like all of a sudden all the trees just stop, giving fruit off, and it's not going to be stuff like that. Sometimes it might be supply chains are stopped and now food is not getting to the stores, and that causes the famine. It might be a billionaire company decides that they're going to buy up all the water rights, like the Walton family is doing, and stopping people from actually being able to use those water resources. It's going to be, things which are going to be very practical, because the Bible, a lot of the stuff, even the stuff which is mystical or supernatural, a lot of that stuff has practical applications and explanations for. Like it's a part where it talks about the river turning to blood. There's literal algae, not was it algae or amoeba or something like that in the water, which when these certain things breed, they actually create the appearance of making the water look like it's blood. I mean, there's a lot of other things I can go into, which I go into on my Hebrew apologetics channel, where I give explanations to some of these things, but some of these are just correlations of other things that happen. If you start having earthquakes, then it's going to start shaking apart, certain, areas that might cause volcanoes to start going off. For instance, like was it Yellowstone Park? One of our major national parks is actually a volcano. It's not just some of these actual mountains actually have actual magma and lava inside. So, some of these things will actually be real, real things that you'll be able to see, and they're not going to actually materialize in this mystical way that is often talked about in the Bible. Sorry for such a long-winded answer.
I appreciate your answer. I did honestly want to know, given what I've been reading about it and the supposed damage it will do once it happens. So I was particularly curious on your perspective.
Yeah, it's actually even been how the lava has been going out to the road, not to the roads, but out, how it's been spilling all the way out to the Atlantic, because now it's reached to the Atlantic Ocean. Um, that's actually affecting, some of the actual um, what is it, sea life that's in that area, and it's also going to affect some of the water levels that might start affecting us all the way over to this side of the Atlantic. So some of these things are one thing happens that leads to another thing that leads to another thing, just like how I talked about in Egypt, where if you have a whole bunch of dead frogs all of a sudden, what's going to happen if you have a whole bunch of dead frogs? You're going to have obviously the insect pests that come and feed on those. So that would bring in locusts and all kind of other things. So certain things, like it's the same thing as if you had a dead animal on the side of the road. Vultures would come in after that. Then eventually maggots and flies, and without getting too gross or grosser, it's a cause and reaction to a lot of different things, and so it's not just like God just made flies come. It's things happen, and all of these things are going to seem mundane to us if we're only looking at them from a kind of more, if we're not looking at them in a critical eye, if that makes sense.
No, it does.
Yeah, I get it.
Even if
I appreciate it.
even if the Bible isn't 100% accurate or whatever, it would still be a good place to get information about what people may believe. So even if it turned out, just if it turned out that elitists or whatever, the predators in power or whatever, actually use the Bible or misuse the Bible in some way, if they had done that, if it was created for them to use as a plan, then that would still be relevant because it would have the plan in it. So I think there's a lot to be said about knowing what's in it and what to expect in terms of the plans within that text and within other texts as well, because it's not just the Bible, but there are many different religious texts that have similar stories in them of what comes to
Or
be.
if I can add, if I can add one other thing, I would tell people, even if you're not a religious person, um, don't look at all the so-called miracle type events and get away from like the stories of Jonah, and which people say is a whale. In the Bible, it doesn't translate as a whale; it just translates as a giant fish. But that's another issue. Look more at just some of the historical stuff that's in the Bible, because historians will tell you a lot of the historical events themselves about this war and these people here and captivities there, and those things, the Persians, well, going back before the Persians, but the Sumerians, which would have been the ancient Babylonians or Akkadians, and going into the Egyptians, and then going into the Assyrians, and then going into the Babylonians, and then going into the Medo-Persian Empire, and then going into the Greeks, and then the Romans, and all of these things are able to be looked at and compared in secular history. So if nothing else, look at just the historical stuff and how that stuff lines up. And that can actually tell you some stuff too, without going into the, walking on water and things like that. So,
Yeah, I agree with that.
because I studied Persian history to compare it to the Bible. I studied Greek history comparing it. I've literally
Good.
read, Latin history in the Vatican, actually. So when my days when I was stationed in Italy, so I can
Oh,
confirm a
something
lot of
happened
the
in Italy.
historical stuff. Oh yeah, protests in Italy, definitely.
Yes, and one of which was purported to be, but from fact checkers. Well, not from fact checkers, but from somebody online. I don't know who. A protest turned out to be a music festival in Switzerland, according to the AP fact checkers and the Reuters. Everybody who cares so much about fact checking certain stories, but not the ones that the mainstream media perpetuates as truth when it's not. But they pointed out that this protest wasn't a protest. But I had never even seen this image. So that's kind of funny because I see a lot of the protest footage and that one never came up. So, but they were acting like it was a real viral kind of photo or whatever, and they do that all the time. And then it turns out like nobody was fucking sharing that. So I don't know why they even bothered, but they just have to get one over on the people, I guess. But there were actual protests in Trieste and other parts of Italy against the Green Pass that they have started to use, I believe yesterday, October 15th.
Is that the QR code in their phone? Is that what it is?
I'd have to look into it exactly. I do know it's very strict. It's segregation is what it is. But it's under the guise of public health now, and it's called a Green Pass, but it's to do with COVID, right? So that's what they do is they say health pass or green pass because it's going to be used for everything, not just for this specific situation.
They're not taking all of these measures just to do this for 6 months or 8 months. Like this is here
Correct.
to stay. It'll just change. The reason for needing it will change as the need arises, but this is here to stay. I mean, we know where this leads to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's going to go from health to banking. It's going
biometric.
Correct. It's going into putting something into your body, right? And it's going to allow you to interact with not just stores. Like it'd be cool if this was just like it would be cool if this stuff was just only for commerce and retail stuff, right? Just so you could go to the store, wave your hand in front of the machine, or you walk out with your bag of chips and your groceries and shit like that. If it was purely just left to that, then it'd be cool. Like, all right, that's convenient. But we know this is so much more than that. And Signs just asked me a question. He said, have I seen the earthquake activities over the last 2 days in Central America? Not so much in Central America.
Oh, snap. Didn't even know that.
In La Palma, I did see there was a bunch of earthquakes over there. No, I have to look that up. Where in Central America? You talking like Panama, Honduras?
Yeah, where was that, man?
Earthquake. I'm looking it up right now, actually.
But while we're doing that, could we go over like what the Green Pass is? Because I do have that information.
Yeah, go ahead.
It came into force Friday and requires vaccination against COVID-19, a negative COVID-19 test within 48 hours for the rapid antigen test, or 72 hours for the molecular test, or COVID-19 recovery in the past 6 months to work in all public and private companies. The health pass was previously mandatory for restaurants, cinemas, and gyms. Dozens of anti-pass protesters blocked traffic. Oh, I love how they say dozens. They like make it such a small number, but you can tell that it's more than that in the picture that they show.
It was a lot more than dozens.
Come on.
Like it was a lot more than dozens. It was definitely
you
hundreds.
Can tell that in the picture. Do you have the there it is. See, look at the picture. They're so fucking full of it. Unbelievable. Yeah, believable, of course. UPI.
L is simply stating facts as a disclaimer. Disclaimer that L is simply stating facts. YouTube, please.
Yes.
No prison love for the show. Thank you.
They are clearly lying about people. But they do have that immunity part, like the natural immunity. That's what they're doing now. And Slow News Day talked about it too. Is like they're gonna make that a part of it. Like if you say, oh, natural immunity, all you want, then you're actually asking for the pass when you do that, because they'll use that as a reason to, go with this biometric ID situation that they're going to usher in very soon, which has already been ushered in certain areas. And that's what the next step is, to get you to comply with every single medical intervention, and to get a test, to get these jump through all these hoops. And you have to, in order to have your daily life that you used to enjoy without having medical information given to anyone. So that's
Yeah,
wanna-
just to
I wanna
quickly
ask-
add, just
on board.
just like the passes.
I
Oh, that was
wanted to
all I was
ask
saying. Just like the
Mr. Street.
passes.
Right, I just want to answer. I want to see Mr. Street's question. Does Street know
Okay.
why they're banning biker clubs? Real quick, since you brought it up,
Huh.
because that seems like such a weird thing to ban.
And where in Australia? Because there's a lot of different areas there.
Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Street. Yeah, please inform us if you know specifically which area. For instance, I know that like, it if you look up certain parts, nothing is going on in some parts, and then it's extreme in other parts. For instance, just look up the most extreme, strictest policies revolving what's on the screen. And you'll see in Australia, like one of the guys, he's literally putting out $5,000 fines for people who
Yes.
won't get vaccinated and things like that. It's getting dark in Australia, and I mean, and honestly, with what we talked about last week, with some of the issues that I've been concerned about with the whole Taiwan issue and Australia wanting to get involved. For those people, if they can get the hell out of that area, and I don't mean go to New Zealand, I mean get the hell away from that whole part of the Pacific. Maybe Hawaii might be a safer place to go. I just think that's not going to be the place to be in, let's say, less than a year's time. I mean, I'm sorry if I'm being a little dramatic, but I think when 2022 comes around, there's going to be a lot of craziness going on. That's all I'll say.
Look at the
What you
bottom.
got there, El?
Look at the bottom of the screen. Vanguard.
Hold on, let me see if I'm gonna bring this up. I'm gonna bring this up large.
Vanguard. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
No, at the bottom. No matter what investing
Yep, I see it.
path you take, we'll be by your side. That's for Big Pharma, by the way. That's hilarious. That's all you need to see. That's all you need to see on this article. That's where it came from. They're just showing you right in your face. If you guys have missed that episode in the past when I went over Vanguard and BlackRock, they own almost everything. So they probably own you by now. But Vanguard owns a lot of big pharma company stock, is what I'll say. And that's the truth. And they own Facebook stock, Apple stock, all that stuff. That's hilarious.
Kelly had a question. Kelly had a question for us. It says, "Does the panel think that we are all going to have the blank for travel intentionally misspelled?" I think you're fine in the chat. It's us who are saying it as host, where we'll get in trouble. We want to go to Hawaii in a few months.
No.
I honestly believe that it's going to get to the point where. Well, it all depends on how these strikes go.
There will be.
It all depends on how the strikes go.
There will be.
If there are strikes.
There will be some form of. There will be some sort of requirement for domestic travel. That's what it seems like it's going.
But it'll probably be a test as well, most likely.
Yeah.
For the beginning.
Yeah, it seems as if they don't. It seems as if the airline industry is one that the ruling class is willing to downsize. It doesn't seem as if they're too concerned about making sure that the vast majority of these airlines can survive going forward. It just seems as if it'll be downsized to a few carriers, and that's about it. Because once they start instituting these passes, there's just going to be a lot of people that just won't travel anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Yeah, I haven't been out since 2019. I haven't gone anywhere.
Mm-hmm. But so
New
yes,
York,
Kelly, I do. So Kelly, yeah, I do think they will. They will make that requirement going forward at some point. We may not see.
And eventually they'll get rid of the testing. They'll get rid of the testing. And
Right. I think they'll phase out being tested, and you can go somewhere.
Because they're already doing that for healthcare workers, so that's just that's the one they can do now, legally, I think, speaking. I think they have the legal basis for that. They don't have the legal basis for requiring that for regular employees, essential workers, and all that stuff. And they don't even have the writing. There's no written agreement with OSHA yet in terms of the terms of what will be done in the office and who will be held liable for any issues with the implementation of this requirement, as they like to say now. They changed it from mandates to requirements. Have you noticed that?
Yes, I did.
Oh,
Overnight.
there's an answer to your question.
W-
There's the answer to your question, Emmanuel. It says, WA Top Cop tells bike used to wear makeup as a club tattoo. To cover up the club tattoos.
Oh wow!
Banned in nation's first laws. Wow.
What?
Oh, and Mr. Street asks, "What's in my cup?" I got a little. Since I can no longer do what I would prefer to do. I went to drinking, and before back in the day, I used to throw down a lot of heavy stuff. But I'm not a real heavy drinker anymore. Kind of I'm trying to find something a little smooth, ease myself back into it. So if they want to throw me a couple of dollars ad revenue, I would definitely advertise. It's pretty tasty. Got a little
Don't
got
sell
some
out.
Arbor Miss Moscato.
I know, Marcus. Be the better man.
mango strawberry.
Stop it.
Well,
Where's the blur?
COVID's gonna have me. COVID's gonna have me out there, walking the street corners for rent money soon. So who knows?
All of us will. Fuck poverty, right?
Seriously.
Poverty's not important. We don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I mean, well, honestly, that's what the camps are for, right? That's what the camps are for, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll get our own someday.
I saw something let's get into. Signs had a good comment here. I wanted to read this out. It says, supposedly the theory of the Canary Islands. I got an echo there. I think it might be you, E.
No, I'm
Says
muted.
supposedly the theory. Oh, it might be on L's. Says supposedly the theory of the Canary Island pushed nearly vertical layers of sediment, sliding a ring and layer or two of earth into the Atlantic wouldn't cause a Western Atlantic tsunami, though the theory was compelling. Yeah, I don't know exactly what the ramifications are that going to be. There are people who are a lot smarter than us on those issues. My area, which I would say that I consider myself somewhat of an expert on, though loosely, would be history, um, politics, weapons and explosives, security. So when it starts getting into the science stuff, I have my theories, but I'll let those a little bit smarter than myself to figure those out. Probably L is probably are probably best person on the science room. So what do you think on that comment from Science there on that theory, L?
Uh, I don't know anything.
Do you not know? Really?
On the spot.
That's like the first time I've ever heard you say, I don't know.
I don't know weather shit. I don't know tsunamis and cataclysms and shit. I don't know.
We found her weak area.
Yeah, wait till she come back next week. She's gonna be.
Well, I could look it up, obviously.
Right. Yeah, next week she's gonna be a damn geologist.
Yeah.
Well,
Next week Elle's gonna be a geologist.
Next week she's gonna be like, if the tectonic plates move, 0.X%, and this happened. Oh yeah, she's gonna be with it next week.
Mm-hmm. No, the crackle's gone, Elle. Oh yes, yes. Let's get into Kyrie. I forgot we touched on the Joe Rogan issue
Mhm.
slightly. Let me just throw this out there because we touched on it, we danced around with it, we winked at it from across the room, but we didn't actually go all the way there. Um, for those who don't know, definitely Joe Rogan called out CNN to their face with Dr. Sanjay Gupta on. And what Chris was referring to with Don Lemonhead was he was pushing back, even when Mr. Gupta there got caught up and had to just submit. I mean, he was trying his best to try to dance around, get off the ropes, but it didn't work. He just said, "Yeah, get your ass back over there, bitch." Bow, and punched him again. So Rogan did not let him off the hook. He handled him very eloquently, like a pugilist should, and punished that little boy like a bully taking lunch money in seventh grade. It was a thing of beauty. But we all know he had to admit that yes, our network is kind of full of it. And he danced around it. But if you guys did not catch that clip, please check it out. I believe Jimmy Dore covered it, so I know he's one of the few people who could still get away with saying it. Like I said earlier in the beginning of the show, our buddy Franco got his video taken down and a strike for talking about it. So we've kind of just been a little careful with it. But sorry, that's the spill on that. And back to you, El.
Well, I found something about that issue that we were talking about before, called "Experts Address Fears That a Mega Tsunami Will Hit the East Coast After Volcanic Eruption in the Canary Islands," from 6 days ago, from Your Tango, and it's on Yahoo,
See what
not
y'all
Yahoo,
did?
MSN.
Mhm.
Yeah, La Palma. So it erupted on September 19, 2021, initially forcing the evacuation of around 5,000 people from their homes and villages in the area. It marked the first eruption since 1971 and sparked fear in the population on the east coast of North America over mega tsunami fears. As of October 10th, 2021, blocks of molten lava as large as 3-story buildings are falling down the hills of the Spanish island. Tremors are shaking the island more than 3 weeks after the volcano's first eruption. And then they ask, people what they think about this, and they say this all means that the numbers that hold on, never mind. This would cause tsunami-sized waves to transit the entire Atlantic basin and hit the east coast of the United States with waves up to 100 feet tall or even more. However, even if a large part of the mountain were to fall, the idea that the waves created from the impact could travel across the entire Atlantic basin is far-fetched. According to George Pararis Karayanis, editor of the journal Science of Tsunami Hazards, the threat of mega tsunami generation from massive flank failures of island stratovolcanoes has been greatly overstated. That's what the experts say, whatever that fuck that means anymore. But that's a little article about it if y'all want to check it out. They got a little GMA clip on there too. Your trusty propaganda purveyors in the media. Anyway, back to Kyrie, because we're circling back now. Circling back to Kyrie.
Right back.
Right around.
Sorry.
So
Give you some sound effects.
What's Steven's fucking problem? Because I literally don't know anything about this shit because I don't watch ESPN or care about basketball usually. And I only care about this because of the subject and how important it is in our, world at the moment. But Steven has an issue with Kyrie that is very obvious when you watch him talking to the panelist, and I did. And when he says he doesn't have a stance, it's like, dude, you literally have a chyron there that says what he says in his Instagram live. and you're saying you don't know where he stands. It says right in your fucking Chiron. What are you, dumb?
Look,
Like, what the fuck?
look, the one thing you have to with this is not just about the. It's not just about the jab, right?
No.
This is an issue we have in our community, right? The old generation, the Steve Harveys, the Stephen A's, guys like that. They look at our generation and the ones after them, even Charles Barkley, even though I do like him too. These guys see younger people making decisions for themselves and not just accepting shit and not just doing what the boss tells you to do. They get offended by that personally. I don't understand it. It's not just this issue, it's many issues. Anytime these guys try to stray away from what the bosses or the masters or whomever want them to do, you always have this class of old mother who come out here and they always want to tell the young people, such as myself or guys younger than me, or a little bit older than me, to basically get in line, don't make noise, don't make things uncomfortable, just follow the rules, follow the orders, and everything will be okay. Kyrie's giving up a lot of money for his stance. And granted, yes, he has made money already. He had a big contract that he signed already. But at the end of the day, people standing on principles has become so unfamiliar. People don't know what it looks like.
That's a lot of money.
Oh yeah. He stands to miss what is it, like 17 million per, I can't remember what it was, but with that being said, he stands to lose millions of dollars. The issue though is not just the NBA, it's the state of New York that has the rules in place that are preventing Kyrie from actually playing. So with that being said,
Chris,
sorry, go ahead.
Can I just add a little humor for it?
No, yeah.
Before we get a little too serious.
You already know.
Go ahead, Marcus.
I don't know if y'all have ever seen the movie Posse, but I'm gonna do a little impersonation for you guys from the movie Posse. See, because they belong to this tribe, this long lost tribe. Billy Zane said it perfectly. He was like, "Hey Jesse, did you know that he is one of the last remaining members of the Motisa tribe?" He was like, "Let me show you." Motisa? That's them. The Motisa tribe.
It is. They, and Stephen, and going back to it, Stephen A will stay at his perch. He'll make the money he makes because he does what he's supposed to do. I was talking to a friend of mine earlier on the phone, and this topic came up, and he said, Stephen A told him all he needed to know was one day on a live or something. He stood up, he got on either the internet or the show and said, every morning I wake up, I think about how I can make my bosses more money. That tells you all about.
Oh, wow.
That tells you all you need about Stephen A.
His knees must be so sore. His knees, poor knees. I feel so bad for his knees.
Well, they got him. They got him.
They got him.
The double soft cotton.
He probably got memory foam knee pads.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they gave him top flight security of the world Craig knee pads. You know what I'm saying?
Very brown. He must have a very brown nose.
I tell you, they don't even use they probably don't even use toilet paper as long as they got people like Stephen A. Smith and Charles Barkley. They probably don't even need toilet paper with them around.
Sounds like they're just making an example of your man Kyrie, man. That's tough, man.
Because they don't want more. They don't want this to be another what was his name? A Kaepernick situation. They don't want this to be another Kaepernick. If you have another Kaepernick who he got more players to start to push back, then that's the same thing that they worry about Kyrie doing.
Hold on, but remember, Kaepernick, what he was doing was largely symbolic, right? for Kyrie,
Mhm.
what makes this incredible is that he was on the team that most people who watch the NBA believe will be in the NBA Finals this year, right? Everyone is looking for that matchup, the Brooklyn Nets versus the Los Angeles Lakers. So this is messing up a lot of shit for the fans and the advertisers and the networks. They really don't want to see this because say what you want about Kyrie as a man, that motherfucker could play ball. Like
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
really
Their season is over if he don't play.
no, it's
That's
not
all
over
I've heard
'cause
about. How
it's
good
not
he is.
over because they still got KD and James Harden on the squad. So
But still, that they are not winning that championship, and you know it.
yeah, without Kyrie Irving, it's going to be really
Without Kyrie, they cannot win it because you got LeBron. Think about what the Lakers just did. They just got a stacked team, and
yeah,
then you're
but the
gonna have Golden
Warriors.
State coming back fully healthy.
I was going to say the Warriors
That's
is
what
on the prowl again too.
that's
Kid.
that's what I'm saying. You're gonna have them. So you got two beasts out of the West Coast, and you're gonna have what out of the East?
But out of the East, I'm saying if you have to deal with Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and James Harden,
And James Harden, yeah.
that's a long day, kid. That's a long day.
But they're not gonna have Kyrie.
No, they're not. But you know, like I said though, real quick, going back to it, you know, he's standing on his principles, and most people don't know what that don't know what that looks like anymore.
No.
It's the same thing with and same thing kind of like with Ali, right? I see people like, don't compare Kyrie to Ali. Nobody's comparing the two instances, right? They were telling Ali he had to go to Vietnam. Kyrie's just saying, I don't want to take a shot. Those are two very different things. However, the one thing that is the same, they both had a belief and they both believed in it and they both standing in it.
And they're both being pressured by the powers that be.
Correct.
And
so much to go along to get along that whenever they don't see somebody doing the same as them, they actually get offended by that.
Yeah. They want to put them in a box. They want to know what they stand for. That's why they keep saying stance. What is his stance and everything? And Joy as well, like talking shit about him and not liking the comparison between him and Muhammad Ali and saying, oh, he liked vaccines and he got vaccinated in 1978, blah, blah, blah. And so, you know, it's not the same situation. But anyway, like he just doesn't fit in their category. They want him in the anti-vax category, the right-wing category. He ain't there. He said, I'm not going to play that. I'm not going to be on one side versus another side. You know, I'm not going to play that divisive shit. And then paraphrasing, of course. And he's like, you can't use me for a tool for your, for what you're doing. And he's standing on principle. And he's standing alone. He's preaching on individuality and like love and, speaking about love and supporting each other and loving each other and not hatred and not division. And that's just something they don't deal with usually. So they just don't know where to put him. So they have to put him somewhere. So they have to put him in the dirt. That's what they want to do.
And I wanted to answer Kelly's question right quick. That's YouTube's currency, Kelly. That's how they make their money. That's YouTube's currency. To the last comment Marcus posted up, just wanted to answer that. You can go ahead.
Oh yeah, I thought someone else was gonna jump in, but like, yeah, that's all I have to say. I watched the whole thing, and you can't judge it, Joy. You can't judge it, Steven. And I don't think they fucking watched the whole thing, is all I'm saying. But you can't judge it unless you watch the whole stream that he did. It's almost 30 minutes. So unless you're gonna spend a little less than 30 minutes watching this guy talk to people and tell them where he stands, you won't know where he stands, or you don't care. That's what's most important, is that they don't fucking care. They're paid not to care, so they don't. Just like Congress. Had to get one in. Which is not mandated to get a vaccine or a test at the moment. Congress.
And I was going to say...
Six figures
I
to
forgot
be
what I was going to
useless.
say.
Oh, I translated her comment. Her comment was, you talking about Uma, Marcus? That's
Yes, Umas. I was curious. I didn't. Well, I can't really since I'm on the tablet. It's a little awkward. So, yeah. What was it?
oh, this is the oh shit, that's right. I can't post the chat in here from the computer because I'm not logged in. But anyway, she was talking about she was talking about Bitcoin. She said because most of the content is
Mm,
about Bitcoin and the security of deposits, corruptors are afraid that the money they have hidden in Bitcoin will be leaked. So she thinks that Bitcoin might have a weakness for hacking.
mm.
So,
Well, we know
Bitcoin is over.
since Uma's brought that up, then we might need to we might need to bring on a couple of our buddies who are real big on the Bitcoin thing that know the ins and outs. I would love to bring on Jack Sith and bring Shadow back on. They both do a lot of talking about Bitcoin and very knowledgeable about it. So yeah, I'll try to see if I can bring them on. That way, they might be able to answer some of those questions and that Uma has.
oh,
But thank you for the comment.
oh, signs. Kyrie, nah, he's not getting a GoFundMe. And the other part about it is Kyrie's donated. Kyrie donated a portion of his salary to the WNBA so that they could get paid. He's done a lot of things for people, a lot of good things for somebody who has a lot of money and didn't have to. So they're straight up just slandering this person. So this just tells you that it just tells you this is more about the agenda than anything else. You know what I'm saying?
And he said stupid shit before, and they want to take that against him and
Yeah,
use
he
it
said,
now. Which he even admits he spoke out of turn at that point, and he said something he didn't really
he
think
spoke
he should have
about
said.
he spoke about
The
flat
flat
Earth.
Earth shit.
He spoke about flat Earth, and they were
Yeah.
mad because of that.
How dare he ask questions?
Mhm.
But think about it. Why would that make people mad? If it's completely
Honestly,
just nonsense, why does it make everybody so mad?
the powerful people.
That's what
Why
I
are they
would.
so
That'd be the
upset?
question.
Exactly. What's the problem, NASA?
It was the same thing with
Yeah,
Bill.
if I complain about if I complain about NASA, then why is it? I mean, you literally had Neil Tice deGrasse come out and try to push back on that. It's like, and then he starts coming out with, well, it's actually kind of not a globe; it's kind of a oblong shaped kind of thing. So I'm like, so, okay. So if that's the case, then why does every picture look like a perfect basketball?
Everything
We
old is
got a
new again.
discrepancy here.
Every
I
time.
mean, well. Another thing is, here's something which I noticed, and it's not that I'm like great or wise or nothing at all. Maybe I'm just a complete idiot. I could be just a complete idiot on this, but I remember in history when I start noticing when they would talk about the map making and what they would do with the map and how a lot of the European powers would intentionally distort the maps so that it would make Europe look bigger. And that had to do with like more of supremacy of the European nations.
Yeah,
Well,
and they
that
made
map is
South
called a
America.
Mercator. Yeah, that map is called the Mercator map.
Mhm.
Well, they came out with a map that's a little bit more accurate. More recently, it's called the Gale Peters map. If you see those projections, they're very different. But if you look at any depiction which you get from NASA, it still has the Mercator, the Mercator images. So either that map was wrong, the Gale Peters, and actually the Mercator map is correct, which they admit the Mercator map is incorrect, or NASA. You know what I'm saying? Something is wrong here. Something's not adding up. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, I'm sharing something
hmm
so we don't get
Oh, it was a comment.
checked.
It's a comment that I wanted to bring up also. I just thought it was kind of interesting that at the time of all the heightened fears of HIV and AIDS, Magic Johnson was allowed to play basketball
And there was people
with the disease.
and there was people
Yeah, yeah,
complaining
go
about
ahead.
it too. There was guys
But he
there
was
were guys
allowed to
that
play.
hmm
He was allowed to play, and Kyrie is not being allowed to play for something that he doesn't have, which everybody's worried about, which he's getting regular testing.
And they're
That
protected
should,
against it.
yeah, I mean, it should be some questions asked. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, Wesley said,
Did you
I think,
get that? No.
what did Wesley say? Wesley said, I
Oh,
think the frustration with debunking ignorant opinion is that it grows tiresome. Yes, it does grow very tiresome, Wesley. And then it gets to the point where you just really want to tell people, shut the fuck up. You know, you just really want to get ignorant at
well, I
that.
think he's saying that the flat Earth is the ignorant part.
Oh, I mean, well, just set that topic aside. Just in general, like even with that guy Chris Richards, you know, reading his tweets is like, shoot yourself if you don't agree with everything that dude says, and you're a Proud Boy Nazi. Like that shit doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense whatsoever.
In fact, let
Oh,
me
that's
pull this up
Carl Peters.
larger.
Who put that up there? L.
Yeah, that's a. Now you see the
Yes.
size of Africa. This is a Gail Peters map. Now, if you look at it, it's literally about the size of most of North America. Well, at least the United States, Central America, and probably what roughly, let's say conservatively, half of South America. But if you look at any of the NASA feeds, especially coming from the space station, it does not show you this Gale Peters projection. It shows you the Mercator projection. What did you say? No, Africa looks smaller when it's bigger. Yeah. Well, the thing about it is, you don't even have to look at these maps. You can literally just start plugging in all the different nations and the mileage of how large these places are, and you'll see a vastly different size. Now, what they will tell you is, oh well, what it is it's the way that the globe bends, and so the stuff at the top just looks bigger because of the way the globe bends, and then somehow it makes the stuff in the middle smaller. I don't know. I don't know how that makes any sense, but that's what I've heard them say.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, it's just one of those things. I wouldn't be surprised to find out, you know, on my death day, you know, like that all this shit is bullshit, you know. But going back to what Wesley said, because he's got a really good comment here. He said people with informed opinions really need to take the high ground, as frustrating as difficult as it can be. You know, that's a real struggle because, you know, it's like if you're one who reads a lot of books on, I don't know, any particular topic, let's just name a topic. If you're into tech and you're really pretty much into computers, the hardware, software of computers, etc., it's like somebody else who doesn't read anything about that, who has no knowledge of it, is then trying to tell you something about it. It's really difficult not to want to curse them the hell out and just tell them to sit down and shut up, you know? So you do have to maintain a certain level of grace, but we're getting to the point where it's like, yo, you know what? If you're gonna be ignorant, then just get the hell from around me. Like it's we get into that time now, you know. It's unfortunate, but you know we have no control over that.
Like
We're
I'm
not the
curious. I
drivers.
want to ask a question. I want to ask a question for everybody out there. Just on the moon landing, how many people believe in 1969 that we went to the moon? I mean, just give me a simple yes or no. I mean, I want to know how many people believe that. I mean, you can believe that, oh, well, maybe we didn't go then, but we went later on. That's fine also. I mean, you could say that also. But I just want to know how many people believe we went to the moon, because I'll be honest, I don't believe we did. Literally, our cell phones have more technology than the whole Houston space station had in 1969. And you're going to tell me that they literally flew out there, calculated how fast the Earth is spinning along with the moon, and we're able to hit it on one shot with 1969 technology. And I could go into pictures and break down, but that's a whole show of me trying to debunk the moon landing. I just want to hear your opinions.
Well,
Um,
you're,
and
I
for
believe
my
that at some
panel, for
point they
my
did make
co-hosts.
it. They did get there. I believe at some point they did get there. Do I believe that it happened in 1969? Maybe. I mean, it. I mean, if you look at how, I mean, I like the perspective of how they weren't just trying to get to the moon at first. They were just simply trying to hit the moon first. That's what I thought that was the original point, is to launch a rocket and aim it at the moon, right? And then they would hit that and then work their way up from there. So if you had just told me, oh, hey, they built it and they launched and they landed on the moon, I mean, that'd be stretching it just a little bit. But if you're talking about, oh, we sent like numerous rockets to the moon and we were working our way up, and I can
So
believe that, sure.
here's my other thing. Homeboy was on the phone, right, with them. He's on the phone on a landline. What cellular communication did we have at that point in time to allow them to make a call to Earth, and he's on a landline? Explain that part. So,
Hmm.
there's just a lot of things when you break this stuff down, just like even with 9/11. When you start looking at these things through, when you clear your lens, you take a deep breath and you just accept the fact that, okay, maybe there is an alternative story here. Not even alternative. Maybe there are holes in the official story to all of these events. And if you just
Hmm.
go through it and just look at it. Use common sense. Fuck an expert on CNN or NBC or Fox because you don't even know their background, what they're being paid to do, right? Like I'm not being paid to stand
Hmm.
here, neither is anyone else here on this panel.
None of us
So
here, yeah.
if you just
If I could pay them, in my
Nobody.
defense, I would pay them. Just saying.
yeah, exactly. Um, but at the end of the day, it's like when you start looking at these things, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle that just don't add up. If you're using common sense and you accept the fact that, maybe I was wrong, maybe I did believe something that is not true. Don't be so prideful that you cannot just admit that, damn, I believe this and it was wrong. It's okay. It's happened to all of us. We were all miseducated like Lauryn Hill. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
the thing about it is you have to just be willing to accept that I was wrong and move forward. Don't just be stuck in your beliefs to the point to where you're just going to ignore everything. Yo, your house is on fire, dog. No, it's not. I don't smell it. All right, bro. You know what I'm saying?
But that's the American way, and it's just
Well, let's. What's L's take on it? Did we go there in
go ahead.
1969?
I don't know everything about that trip and what happened, but I do know that there are secrets within NASA of, certain astronauts, and they have expressed that sentiment that there are things that we don't know about certain things. Um, and some people just get so mad about even suggesting such a thing that they would punch someone in the face, which is what somebody did. But
Hmm. A certain
but why would you
astronaut.
be so defensive like that? Why would it be so offensive to you that you would have to punch someone for suggesting that you maybe didn't do what
And
you did?
it's not only one. Remember, L. It's not only one. Remember, it was. He went to multiple. The one punched him, and multiple ones got very aggressive in cursing him out. Very
Well,
aggressive.
it doesn't look real to me as far as like I've seen what technology they had back then. You remember, like they always say 2001 A Space Odyssey and everything. Like that looked amazing. except for the last part at the end where he's like going through space. That wasn't great, but that wasn't supposed to be great, and it wasn't supposed to be like special effects.
And they had the
Oh
technology to
wow.
make the camera, and they had the tech at that time to make the camera on the moon, mind you, no less. They had the tech set up
Mm.
on the moon to make the camera move up with the rocket as it took off. No,
Oh,
put
hold
that
on, hold on.
comment back up. Put that comment back
No,
up.
no, I was gonna go through all of them. I want to go through all of
Oh,
them in order. So
but
let's go to the top. Let's go to the top. Boom, boom, boom. Let's back it up.
Yeah,
Where was
variant.
that at? Because we got a bunch of good ones. We'll start off with what sign says
Oh, it's been around
100% not
forever.
sure. Misha, my brother,
No, he
says
didn't.
Kubrick made the video.
He didn't. There's
I
an
don't know.
unedited
I
version of
don't
it. There's an
know.
unedited version of it that I found. I can't find it on YouTube anymore, of course. But they had like a whole interview of this dude who was purported to be Kubrick. And he says what his name is. I forgot what it was, but he says his name. And the dude interviewing him talks to him as if he's talking to an actor. And they go back and forth. So you can see through the
But
unedited footage that there's no way that's Stanley Kubrick taking that abuse.
we'll come back to that. Let's go on to the next comment. It says,
I don't believe it.
I'm guessing in the physical, the world is round, but in the spiritual, it's different and we don't understand.
There's a
Interesting.
lot we don't understand.
Uh, a
Oh
lot.
wow, that's
Kelly
actually
says, I want to
interesting.
believe, but the latest season of American Horror Story has me doubting, lol. I understand that. Yeah, my girl is watching it, and it's dealing a lot with moon and what is it, aliens and things like that.
and hey guys, look,
Kubrick told
No.
And I respect the
like
X Files. I respect the X Files quote that Kelly put up too. I think
Yeah, I
and
do
then
too.
L says that
the
wasn't
truth is
Kubrick
out
in
there
the
a little
video,
more.
which I said I'm gonna go back to that on my theories. Misha said they couldn't get the rockets off the ground. They went to the moon just a few
No.
years later. Um,
well, they had Elon
Sign
Musk
says,
rockets. They had the
And
Elon
Blue
Musk
Origin,
rockets in 1969. It took them up there,
the
came
cock
back
rocket.
90. Yeah.
We got the
uh,
cock rocket now.
Signs
Cocket.
Syme says American Horror Story deals with aliens and the moon landing in the second feature of this year's double feature. Finale next Wednesday. Mr. Street, ancient hydrofluoric shows them how to communicate. Interesting.
Hmm.
Wesley says, I can sooner believe the moon landing was a fraud than that the flat Earth. Okay, then Earth is
Well,
flat.
there's a little more evidence about about
Correct.
Earth not being flat.
That's
Kelly
that
says it seems like it could be propaganda in the name of stupid race against Russia.
For
That
sure.
could be.
I
Misha
would say
says
more
Kelly
about cover up for Operation Paperclip because I always found it weird that
Yeah.
I always found it
I was just
weird that
talking
dude
about
just
that on
strolled
Twitter.
that dude strolled in.
That's what I'm
and
saying. It's a
got
lot I could
shit.
go into. That's why I said this could turn into a whole episode here on
Woo!
stuff, and we might have to do a political matrix moon landing special show also. Variant says NASA said they can't get past the radiation belt now, so they surely couldn't have done it back in 1969. Which the belt which he's talking about is the Van Allen belt. Yes, they still cannot get past the Van Allen belt, and
So
they
weird.
have admitted, "Oh, we don't have the technology anymore. You don't have it anymore. Why would you do?" They said that they destroyed the technology. That's NASA's official word that they destroyed the technology. I don't know why you would
Why?
destroy that technology. That doesn't make
They
any damn
wouldn't.
sense at all.
They
I
wouldn't.
mean, what? So
What about the moon
that's what you're
rocks?
gonna tell us.
All they say is
Yeah,
like,
moon
"Ooh,
rocks
look
that
at the
they.
moon rocks." That's your proof is the moon rock. Okay, cool.
and since we're on
And
space,
those went for but they went for big money too. I think one went for
I like this one from Science. It says, "My folks are from Idaho. Been to the craters of the Moon Park where astronauts were trained because of the supposed similarities in geology several times. It passed Atomic City. Well, I've seen astronauts claim that they were in outer space and then slip up and say they were in a certain part of Idaho.
California.
So, well, I've heard one of them literally say he was, oh yeah, where I went to high school at, and it's right
Oh
here next
yeah,
to the
that's right.
Iowa where I
Yes,
met.
yes.
Yeah, he slipped up and said that, and then they all like froze, looking at him like, "What the fuck are you doing, man?"
Yeah, he was holding the
And
mic like,
yeah, he
oops.
Y'all
just
got a
froze.
video of that? Let's see
Yeah,
it.
no, there is a
Yeah,
video of
I
it.
got a ton of that stuff
We
saved.
got to see at least
The
one
comedy
clip of these
sitcom just shooting.
motherfuckers.
Oh no, if you see
Well,
it,
I've seen ones where they say they're out. They say they're in outer space, and then you see bubbles coming out of their suits. So I mean,
So
I know
ridiculous.
that they do train in the water, but
Mhm.
why lie about a training video and make it like
They
it's a
lie
real
all the
video?
time.
There's just a lot of inconsistencies.
Their
NASA
images
claims
don't even look right now. When they show
NASA
images of
claims they
when they're
destroy the
on
technology.
Mars or
Exactly.
something, doesn't look right.
There's another one. The panning camera during the liftoff is tough to explain away.
Hmm.
Um, the American flag blowing in the wind.
Yes, very.
There
Oh
ain't
my
good
gosh,
comment.
that's what I brought
Ah.
up in astronomy class, and they did not like it.
Well, the thing which blew my mind the most, being that I lived on a couple of air bases, and I've actually done a lot of work on flight lines. When there's any kind of vehicle that has a vertical takeoff where there's thrusters involved, thrusters burn the hell out of whatever the hell's up under. If you look at the moon landing, there is no scorches up under anything. And the things which they claim are supposed to be thrusters are roughly about that thin, and it's just like a little thin leg, and this is literally like almost gold foil around it. And I'm like, how the hell would that gold foil have stayed on it all the way to the fucking moon?
Hmm.
correct.
Also, what
And
kind of technology did you guys have that you had pancake thin thrusters back then? I mean,
and
it didn't add up to me.
and also the film. Like
Let's
I read that the film couldn't have possibly withstood that kind of treatment in space, and yet somehow we got it. Like we got that footage. Like how?
It
Mm-hmm.
all seems like show. And look, to tie it together, like earlier we talked about Sanjay Gupta, right? An actor playing a doctor on TV.
Are we circling back?
No, we're not. I'm just
Okay,
tying it. No, we're tying this together, right?
call
So
back. All
they
right.
went. They had fake ass Sanjay Gupta on TV, and then only for NASA or whoever to announce that William Shatner was going back into space. I said, going back into space. He's going back to where he worked at. Like he's going right to the same place. It's just ridiculous. Like,
Wow. Yeah.
okay, whatever. You put a 90 on
Yeah,
it.
I heard about that.
Sure. He went to go sit
That
in
he
front of a
apparently
goddamn.
flew to space.
He sat in front of a
And
green
Chris,
screen.
we need a translation here.
Got you.
So I'm just curious, like it's just a lot of inconsistencies, and you guys all said a bunch of things, which I'm like, yes. Emmanuel, when he talked about Operation Paperclip, that is something that has to play in this also. L, where you said, well, they had a video of that guy. Well, Kubrick died like really like right at around that time frame after that video, and also it had to do with it was shortly after the movie Eyes Wide Shut, which he did, which is kind of leaking information
But
about Illuminati.
there's also a video of him at the
I,
Oscars thing around the same time, and his face looks a little different than that guy. That guy looks like an
but
actor
here's an
playing him.
But here's another thing. Why was there so many in Stanley Kubrick's The Shining movie? Why is there so many things alluding to NASA?
Again, I'm not saying that
There's a
it's not
lot.
true. I'm just saying that video is not true. That's all I know is that the video is
Oh,
fabricated.
it's possible that video might be fabricated, but
That's all I'm saying.
I
I'm just looking
wonder.
at the evidence.
I And then we have this one also. So I need translations
I have
on
the
both of
other one. I
those
have
The first
stats.
technology is information about knowledge. Blocking and stopping the distribution of knowledge is destroying technology, like copyright. That was the first thing they said.
Mm,
They're very smart,
very
Uma.
smart,
I
Uma.
love you, Uma. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yes,
I love Thai.
so glad Uma's joined us. Yeah.
I can't read it, but I love it.
Unfortunately,
I love hearing it. If I hear it, I can understand a little bit of it, but not. I watch a lot of Thai
Well,
series.
I've learned to start listening to more communications outside of the U.S., especially as I've gotten so disillusioned with our media in general. Like honestly, like I know this isn't Thai, but one of the people I listen to most is Weon, the Weon Network, which is an Indian network. They do some outstanding work, and they're always talking about issues that a lot of times don't get covered, especially statesides, which need to be, or
Oh,
they start
WIO.
talking about some things which are about to come up. Yeah, WION, we own.
I didn't know what you were saying for a second. I was like, Weon.
Yeah, yeah,
WION.
it's called yeah.
Got it.
Well, I just remember the main host who's normally on there. She normally always says it. We own. So I guess that's how we say it.
Misha,
I mean, I could be pronouncing it wrong.
Misha, it's
Oh,
like
I'm
that.
not saying it.
Isn't it weird that any of us,
No stars, yeah.
we can go outside, you can look up and you can see stars. Maybe some places you can see more, some you'll see a little bit less, but you always kind of see stars in the sky at night. Every single picture from outer space is always a black background and a glowing blue orb. Where's the light from the sun? If they cook
Yeah.
it shit here and they could change my color from 93 million or light years away, you could change my skin color from that power. Why is it when you go into space, it's dark as hell? I mean, it's just certain questions that I have.
Mhm.
Unless the
And even,
sun is
yeah.
lower than they're saying. Get what I'm saying? It's just a lot of things is just not adding up. I'm not saying that we
Yeah.
know the full answers. It's just their answers are not adding up. That's all,
Yeah.
all we're saying here.
That's what we're saying. I don't know anything. I wasn't around for that time. I don't have, I don't
There
have.
you go,
Yeah.
science.
Oh,
Yes.
perfect. But yeah,
That's the
science.
proof.
Where no man has gone before.
Correct.
We know less about our oceans. So we know
There's so
roughly
many
about
undiscovered
5%
species.
about our oceans. So if we
Right.
only know
I
five
did know
percent about our
that.
oceans, you're trying to tell me that we really understand that we're
Right.
able to get to outer space and we understand all that too. I mean, no. What
You
that
go to the
tells me
sea
is
first.
we can't go too far below and we can't go too far up either.
Mm-hmm. Because that
There's
pressure is
so
too
much
much.
that we don't know. And there are ancient civilizations that lived in certain areas within the ground that we haven't even discovered enough about. But we just know that they lived there. But we don't know
Well,
what
another thing
exactly.
is well, another thing is a lot of our civilizations, especially in Europe, literally have tunnel cities up under them because as they conquered those areas, they literally just built right over the top of them and just try to erase the civilizations that were there before them. As if, no, it was just all nomadic people and they didn't build shit.
Mhm. And they probably discovered
Hmm.
technology and erased that trace of it as well. Because I have a theory that everything we see now we've seen before. Like all of the technology that we have, we probably had at one point in history, but it got wiped out, and then they started over.
I can 1000% agree with that, El. I do believe that a lot of this technology that we're getting now, it might not be exactly the same way it was, but we had levels of that technology before. I mean, it's proof in the pyramids in South America that they understood thermodynamics and using heat that way, because they basically had the pyramids are temperature controlled. How did they figure out piping all the way through and down into the grounds to suck the heat down into the ground and suck up the cold air? I mean, how did they understand plumbing in ancient Egypt when plumbing didn't come around until like the 1900s in Europe? I mean, there's a lot of things that are not being spoken about or explained. Variant says here, what makes the most sense in the U.S. wanted to outdo Russia And it was such a huge deception that they can't ever officially admit it. Bingo. That's what I believe. Now, maybe the rest of the crew
But it's
doesn't
not
agree,
just that.
but
Well,
they might.
That's
that's
part of
one.
it.
That I was gonna say that's part of it too, and also they can't admit it because they get so much money. That budget at NASA is real nice.
Hell yeah. They need to keep it
Well,
going. And then
see,
Space Force, we got that coming up.
Correct.
well, Kelly, what this is going into is what I talk. This is why I've been going back watching a whole lot of old programming, or not even necessarily all old, just maybe going back and rewatching something that maybe I watched 10 years ago, because I'm starting to see shit in there that some of it started scaring me at first, but I realized when we talk about this predictive programming and entertainment, they're telling on themselves, and what it is, honestly, I think is part of it. They sometimes they want us to accept something that's about to happen. Sometimes they just want to mock us, to be like, look, these fucking idiots don't even realize we're putting this shit right in their face, and they don't even see it. And so I honestly believe what you're talking about here alludes to some of that. And I'll read out the comment. It says, weirdly, Stanley Kubrick had it has a role in American history story as a perpetrator of propaganda for which he was paid for. Um, I will, for those who follow me, follow my other channel also. I will unlock my because I have some of my playlists unlocked because I use them for research. I have ones that are like, what is it, like dark and dirty secrets or something. Start going through some of these playlists in there, and you'll see some of the research which I've done, and some videos that are going to make you question some shit. Mr. Street says the Book of Enoch explains it best as far as the moon, which, if for those who don't know what he's talking about in the Book of Enoch, it literally talks about how the sun and the moon are basically on a circuit, and they literally go into they almost have like a location which they go into, where one goes in almost like the sun has its own chambers, and it's following on a circuit always. Now, that's echoed in the Bible, except for the Book of Enoch just goes into an extreme amount of detail, which I'm like, I don't know, but if something doesn't contradict the Bible, then I'll give it some. I'll give it some credibility, but and so it does talk about in detail about the sun going through its circuit, and the moon also going through its circuit, and where it goes to a part where it's basically hidden from our viewpoint. Um, Science says supposedly helium-3 is the only moon plentiful resource worth mining, just saying, but theoretically it is made from a collision with Earth, so it should have gold, etc. too. Yeah, there's a lot of things which I don't, me honestly, when I started researching some of these things, and I used to argue hardcore. I was like, I was a sailor, and I went across the, and we went to certain points where you could see, where I know there's a curvature of the Earth and things like that. And I, I find myself just being like, you know what? I don't think I'm not going to argue any of those things 100% as hard as I used to, because I'm confused. I got really confused, and I had people show me things that made me not have answers for. So I'll leave it at that. Varian says, I don't know about y'all, but I don't feel like I'm spinning 26,000 miles per hour in a spiral. Yeah, I don't feel like we're going in a spiral upwards or any of that stuff either. Try to get caught up on these comments. Atmosphere at sea level is only 15 psi. Wow, that's it. A thin shell can withstand that or maintain that. The pressure underwater gets crazy high. Because just a little note, Wesley. I used to for launching torpedoes off of ships. We would use pressurized containers and use psi. I can't tell you the actual amount because it's classified, but yeah, I'm surprised it's only 15 psi.
Can I say something?
Sure, go
Something?
ahead.
No.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
probably not. I'll be careful. I'll be careful.
Now you
were
got to send it
mentioning.
to us first. We got to fact check it before you say it, Al. From now on, that's just how we doing it, okay?
No. It's not really a fact check situation, but it's like, just have you guys seen these videos that were posted on YouTube a while back? I don't know if it's still there, but there are certain people who see things in the sky that's very odd, where it's like a plane just stops midair, and they don't know what the hell is going on, and there's not really any scientific explanation for it's just stopping or seeming to stop at that point. There are many videos of that
I've
phenomenon.
seen I have a video on my thing where somebody's one of those homemade rockets and it literally goes up and it just stops as if like as if it like literally hit a roof. It just like stops and it's like just spinning in a circle. And I'm like, that's weird. And then I've seen other videos where it literally looks like a jet ski is in the water. I mean, it's weird. It's like it's skipping off of something over and over and over and over until it eventually explodes.
And then
So
there's
I've seen some
the
weird stuff
sun
like that.
videos. There's the sun videos. There was a bunch of sun videos a couple of years ago where it would be multiple suns, like two suns at once, it would look like in the sky. Yeah, there were videos about that. Just several videos that people got.
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a phenomenon.
Where,
I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's a
yeah,
photographic phenomenon. Allegedly.
well, but the Bible,
That's what we're saying.
this will go into some of the biblical stuff. The Bible alludes to a firmament, which is like almost like an unseen layer. And if there was some kind of actual firmament, like I've seen flat earthers do their models, where they've done like almost like a glass dome put over it. If you shine a light on there, you can see reflections of that other like light on the other side. And they're saying that possibility, that's what we're seeing with the sun, where we're seeing the sun and we're seeing its reflection on the other part of the firmament. I know some of you guys don't believe in any of that, but I'm just putting out that that's what they're talking about in those videos. Misha says Kubrick was tuned into a lot of what the ruling class was up to. You can see some of that in Eyes Wide Shut, and which Eyes Wide Shut, it actually you can look up historically back to one of the, I believe it's the Rothschilds' early parties, and there's a bunch of funky, weird costumes and all that, and that's alluding to that. And some people try to say, oh, well, it's just going into that old party that they had, back in like the 60s or something. And then some people say, no, those things are still going on. Let's see, man. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, which are you pulling up?
Who's this, L?
I'm just showing you one of these news videos that I just looked up on YouTube. It says two suns theory, not theory. Two suns were seen. Where did I find it? Where is it? There it is. Okay. Two suns theory. USA and Canada experiences two suns called Hunter's Moon. TV 5 News. I guess this is a different country and everything. So then they have like the video footage here. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. Weird shit.
Oh, yeah.
That's like a news network too. It's like not just some random dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they let me see that so quickly.
I was talking about. That's what I'm saying. They don't cover this stuff in American news. That's why I started paying more attention to other news agencies.
Yeah, I've never seen.
See, we gotta fact check ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Now I gotta find the plane
this
video.
is an actual
That'll
news.
be harder. That one doesn't look as bad, but okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. What language is this? I can't remember.
I don't know. What is that? I don't know.
I've seen it before.
I'll say,
on,
Uma,
like,
do you know which language that is?
Uma's speaking Thai.
This is definitely.
I was wondering if it might be a neighboring language.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Cambodian or something.
It's possible.
It's in English in the description. Telugu Live. Andhra. No,
Oh,
Andhra News. Okay. Andhra. Is it Indian?
Andra, that sounds almost Indian.
Oh, hey guys, what's on? I see in the news on the west side. There's a lot of goddamn ships in the Pacific just waiting to go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like
The supply line issue. You mean the supply?
Oh, that's all
supply
fabricated.
line
allegedly.
breakdown.
So you're telling me that we have a supply issue. Meanwhile, you have like 95 ships waiting with all the supplies we ordered. So do we have a shortage of supplies, or do you guys just not unload the fucking trucks in
Or
time?
there's strikes that they don't want to talk about.
Or correct, or that part, or there's problems.
Oh,
Yeah, and there's strikes
we go.
popping
Uma
up.
responded.
Oh, my.
Go ahead, E. If
No,
not,
I was saying
go ahead,
the
E.
strike that
the
strikes that are popping up in Frito Lay and what's the other one?
Kellogg's.
Nabisco.
Kellogg's, Frito Lay, Nabisco. It's a little weird, right?
John Deere.
They're
There's another one.
John Deere, yeah.
John Deere, yeah.
It's a little
all of a
weird that
sudden,
they all popped up.
Yahtzee.
Right, just popped up out of the blue, right? They just all popped up, like literally like within like a month, maybe two, something like that.
Oh,
Totally
So, you know,
coincidental.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Oh, excuse me. I forgot. I wanted to mention, for those who might not know this, it's interesting the name NASA. There's a Hebrew
yeah.
word which is very close to NASA.
Yep.
That Hebrew word, nashar means to deceive.
Yep.
So I just wanted to put that out there. Nashar, NASA. And
just a
if we
coincidence.
know, a lot of the scientists for Operation Paperclip, you know what? I've said too much.
yeah.
Oh, and on the strike thing, like the Reuters did another fact check about the mandate in terms of like the postal service, the USPS has to abide by the 100 or more OSHA rule thing, which isn't even in effect. But that's what their mandate is. It's not a federal mandate, but it is that one. And
Marcus, you're not on mute.
Oh, sorry about that.
Anyway, that could affect, like, if they strike, then we're fucked because we can't get our mail and I can't get my paycheck, so I'll be mad. Because I don't want to go digital, but that's a good way for them to go digital if they want to do that, is to have everyone strike and then they have to do it digitally. Money. Digital money.
Yeah.
It works.
So it's just Mr. Street put a comment in there, says ships on pause. You know what is going? Yeah, that one. Again, it's just they're backed up. They're backed up, and there's delays. I don't know if
there are videos online of like what's going on, which is nothing, which is people just not doing their jobs for some reason, and it's not really clear why. But maybe those are the orders. So people are saying that they're being ordered not to load the ships, not to do their jobs.
Yeah, it's fishy, and I'm right. Me and Elle, we're right out here with it. So I don't know what's exactly going on. They've just said that now they're going to start working 24 hours to try to get those ships unloaded. And I know people.
And now they're going to make them work
of course,
hard.
holiday season's coming. They gotta clean it.
Yeah, but remember what's also coming right now. A lot of those mandates are going to go into effect right before, I want to say, the Thanksgiving holiday.
At least.
It's like November 17th or something when a lot of these are going to go into effect. So
7th.
I'm wondering how this is going to affect things, you know. You said the 7th? Yeah, I could be wrong.
That's what I've heard
But I know
about one of them.
I just know it's going to get interesting.
Oh, it's already interesting. I'm so interested.
Well, and like we
Super
said about like I've said this with a team here that, you know, the COVID stuff, this is just the first wave of what's coming, I believe.
November 8th is what I
So
meant for the travel
November
one.
8th, okay.
That's specifically for the travel mandate.
Also,
International.
good point. I didn't even read all of Kelly's comment there. It says maybe paying longshoremen and truckers a living wage would help ease the supply chain, and maybe it wouldn't. It shouldn't depend so much on shit from China. The
Nah.
dealing with shit from China is that the pay is not going to really matter that much because longshoremen actually do get paid pretty well, and a lot of truckers do make a decent wage. Even though I'm not saying that they shouldn't be paid more, but with some of the issues that are going on between Taiwan and China and Australia and the United States and Russia and all these things going on, they are starting to affect some of these things. So that's something we always have to keep in mind also in the back of our heads that when we start having, like I said earlier, wars and rumors of wars, it can lead to some of these other unintended effects. And if China
I think they're
is
intended.
feeling like, you know what, if they're saying, you know what, United States, you need to back out of our issue, we're going to go in and we're going to take Taiwan, then they could be intentionally forestalling some of these things. So that's something to also keep an eye on. Also, and unrelated news, I just wanted to throw this out. Iran has been doing more business with Venezuela. And so Iran is starting to get oil out of Venezuela. The same oil which the Koch brothers have been trying to steal for God knows how long. So a lot of things are starting to heat up and get a little interesting. Just want to keep that in mind.
Well, I think everything's going according to plan from what I've read about the Great Reset. I mean, it's right where it needs to be at the moment, the chaos.
And if you don't believe, look, got a quarantine camp near you, courtesy of Varian. Send me this link. This is from August. This from August. It is in Australia, but they are really building a quote quarantine camp for, and we know what it's going to turn into. It's going to turn into camp or sites for people who didn't take it. So, I mean, look, they said it's a place that hates Cuba but operates a prison on Guantanamo Bay. There's no level that these people won't go to.
No.
Lots of concentration there in that picture.
There is a camp here too, but I don't want to get into that. But like there was a post on a job site, a jobs board. I guess I could find that, where they were looking for people to work in a specific facility dealing with COVID stuff, COVID related stuff. I have to find that. Oh my gosh. I wish I had kept that one.
You wish you had kept what?
I wish I had kept that link because I fucking don't even know where I find it anymore. I tweet too much. That's my problem. Jobs.
Hey, Marcus, we just about three in. You know, I'm kind of tired.
Yeah.
Like 2:33.
Yeah, I figure we're gonna wrap it up. I know it's getting super late over there for you guys, and I really applaud our audience for being troopers and sticking in here with us for as long as they can.
Appreciate
I know
it.
some probably had to dip out, and then they'll probably catch the rest later on. I appreciate that also, and I appreciate those who are going to check us out later on, provided YouTube doesn't be a dickhead and come after us. So. Yes, we definitely applaud and appreciate everybody. Yes.
Shadow.
Yes.
Hit the like button, subscribe, whatever. We thank you guys. We appreciate all of it, of course. Thank you
so much.
Yes, definitely.
We love you.
And I was wondering.
It's cool because we.
No, go ahead.
We interact.
No, I was going to say I take great offense to Don Lemonhead. Lemonheads are awesome. That title bothers me.
I gotta find a new one. I gotta find a new
Nah,
one because
I got what you did. I just no, let's not associate that with that awesome candy.
When life gives
even though I
you
love
lemons.
lemonheads too, I'm a candyaholic. So that's my real I'm like sitting outside like, yo man, you got the Mike and Ike's, bro. All right, yeah.
I hate lemons.
Hey
by
man,
the way.
not in front of everybody, man. Slide that shit up under. So
I like. I just had some sweet tarts. That's my shit.
I used to love sweet
I'm
tart. Child.
well, you guys know how I am about my faith issues, and so like I've had to give up another love I used to love. Starburst. Can't do Starburst anymore. I realized Starburst have pork gelatin in them,
They're awful.
and so you guys know I don't do pork.
I don't fuck with gelatin.
Yeah, I don't do. I like my gelatin stuff. I just can't do pork.
Yeah, Kelly,
It is against.
Kelly Halloween is coming up.
Give each other apples.
Yeah.
Let's
I can't even mess.
healthy.
And that's where I got to let you three handle that. I don't mess with any of the pagan holidays. And hey, seriously out there, I don't even celebrate birthdays. So, I mean, I'm kind of, I guess, stream with
I'm
it.
spending mine at a protest. Do you want to hear what I'm doing on my birthday?
Yeah, your birthday's when is your birthday? The
27th. And I'll be in the middle of the protest for Free Assange for his hearing.
Okay.
At CNN's building in Hollywood.
Oh, Kelly, and don't think it's easy for me to just give up all this stuff. I mean, I literally had to give up one of my favorite foods, shrimp. And I used to love like blue snow crabs. Can't eat any of that stuff anymore. Catfish. I used to grow up on catfish, pork chops, all that. So I had to give up all of those things. So that and amongst a bunch of other things. So I grew up on pork chops. I used to love some battered pork chops.
I am a Scorpio, yes. There was a time when they were trying to call us something else, but then they changed it back.
I know so many Scorpios.
I am not your typical Scorpio, that's for sure. Exactly. I'm the only Scorpio in my family as well. I have Sagittarii everywhere.
I can't even go into that astrology stuff anymore. Scorpios, Leos, Geminis. I mean, technically, I was a Aquarius, but I don't go into any of that anymore. In fact, my birthday was literally on a holiday. My birthday used to be on Groundhog's Day. So, well, I guess it still technically is on Groundhog's Day. But, that's neither here nor there yet.
Mine is the day before Turkey Day this year.
My dad's is
just like my cousin.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. My dad's Friday, the 26th.
You see what they're saying about you, Elle? Mm-hmm. That's the real truth.
What? I know. That's a fucking lie because I don't, Kel. And I'm not. No, Kel. Kel, no. Kel, no.
I gotta answer that real quick before we get out of here. We got a couple more minutes till 3.
Elle is not a freak.
But Wesley says, Cain was right. Cain was victorious. In vengeance and dominion, the keepers of slavery curse those who work the soil and curse the earth, reject patriarchy and dominion, go vegan, bless the earth. Well, Cain was not right. Cain was victorious in that moment, but he was not right. Cain, I'm not gonna go into that. I'm gonna leave that alone because that will get me into too much theological discussion for the moment, and I do not want to.
I have so many Sagittarius.
I don't want everybody's brain to turn off, so I'll leave that alone.
So he's a Sagittarius, like my family, like my brothers. My brothers are Sagittarii, and my dad's a Sagittarius. I'm surrounded by Sagittarii. And now Eve.
She even got
everyone.
She got the term for it, Sagittarii. I've never heard that before. I'll just say I'm a Sagittarius.
No,
Surrounded.
I'm a Leo. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Okay,
We're gonna
good.
clear it out. I am
Oh,
a fire sign. I'm a Leo.
Okay, so
oh,
Chris
so
is.
wait a minute. So you
it's,
really should be the leader here, then, I guess.
so it's just me. I'm the only Sagittarius one here.
And it's
Okay.
weird that I'm supposedly the leader, and I'm the least leader of the signs.
That's funny.
Aquarius is the loner. So just
Oh,
saying.
But you
damn,
have the
El.
age of Aquarius.
Damn, El Misha just called you
Actually,
Jeffrey Tubin.
why no marriages in Adam's family? There were marriages. Cain actually got married to a woman from the island of Noth, so she did get married. For those who are Game of Thrones fans, if you notice what they did there, I can't remember what her name was, but what was her name? The Dragon Queen. Man, I can't even believe I can't remember this right
Da-
now. But
Dan-
Daenerys, the
Daenerys.
Danny's like translator. She was from a small place called Noth. So you guys will start noticing some of these things. How a lot of this stuff is biblical coding slipped into so many things, or they might just change it up a little bit. Like I remember, we used to love Transformers as a kid, and Megatron was like one of the biggest ones in the Bible. There's a certain character he goes like he's supposed to be translated into heaven. Um, Enoch becomes Metatron. So I just thought that was interesting. Metatron, Megatron, it's a lot of that. You'll start like I was telling Chris about the second Iron Man. The bad guy's name is Obadiah. Obadiah is the shortest book in the Bible, which also one of my favorite books of the Bible. But we won't go into that. But oh, anybody have anything that they want to plug? I know we've just been babbling on and having a little fun conversation, but anything you guys like to
Nope,
drop
I'm good.
important? All
No,
right. What
I'm
about
good
you,
here.
Chris?
Did he hear you, Chris?
Oh,
No, I'm sorry. I was
Chris,
reading.
are you gonna
I got caught up reading Wesley's
reading?
comments. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I'm reading it too. Uh, but here's the thing. It all depends on which translations are you looking at. Are you looking back to the Septuagint, the Masoretic text? Are you looking the vulgar? What is it? I can't remember what it's called. Um, then you have like the Sinaiticus, the Latin Sinaiticus. You have a bunch of different ones. It matters to which one you're actually going into. If you're just looking at the English translations, or if you're actually translating it back into the Hebrew, whether you understand Hebrew or whether you use the stuff like Blue Letter Bible or other different codexes to translate. I actually go to that extreme level of translating everything back into the Hebrew or into Aramaic and trying to get the fullest understanding, or Greek, which some of that stuff I do understand a little bit here and there, Greek and Latin. So if I'm reading it in Latin, I can read some of that too. So I go beyond just the English text, which most Christian churches are reading very, very, very clumsily. So there are some things, not necessarily in Genesis 4 and 5, where there's big issues, but especially when you get into Matthew and Luke with genealogies, which is very, very inconsistent. But that's getting kind of nerdy theological talk, and I'm sure me and Wesley, we can have this discussion another time. I definitely would love to, because you're definitely, I respect my elders and those who are wise in these kind of talks. Says I'm talking about the King James version that millions of zealot Americans are reading literally. Do you mean the King James, the newer King James, or do you mean the 1611 King James, or do you mean the New King James? Because there's like four different actual King James to go from, and so that it gets a little, and all four have different translations. Then you have like the ESV, you have the NIV, you have just there's so many different ones, and that's what I go into that on my other channel about uh, why people have so many misunderstandings because of so many different translations, and these people took it from the Septuagint, and these people took it from the Latin Codex, and these so I can understand why people don't all have centralized understanding, but. I guess that's about all I have to say there. I could keep going forever and ever, and if I don't stop myself, I probably
Don't.
would. Plus, I still got to break all this stuff down, and I am working on finishing up my background. Finally, you guys can't see it, but I've started the painting on this side over here. Some of the matrix lettering. So hopefully by next week, I will have it completed, and you guys hopefully you guys like it. Hopefully I do a good job. So I might film a little bit of that and do a little clip so you guys can see that, like I did with the other with what I did the whole thing as a whole. But this has been the Political Matrix. So happy for all of you guys joining us. Thank you for my co-host for being here, and thank you for all the new people who came in. And if you're new to our channel, please come in, give your say so. You don't have to always agree with us. Just like we had Lies. I hope I'm saying this correctly. Lies, who was in here early. Lease, that was in here earlier. Lease, was it Lease Live? Lease in Live or something like that, who came in earlier.
It's like,
I'm so glad that she came in. Had a little bit of disagreements at first, but I'm glad that she enjoyed it. I'm glad she's enjoying the content, and hopefully anybody else who's new to our content, don't be afraid to have a conversation with us. The only way we learn things is if we have conversations. So that said, this has been a Political Matrix. I'm your host, Young Morpheus, here with the Blue Maverick himself, Mr. Emmanuel, here with Cy Lawson, and here with the Whisper and Ghost in the Machine, L. Latham. I see she's still here. Thank you for rocking with us the whole 3 hours. We don't always necessarily go 3 hours, but we always just try to have fun and have a good conversation. And I love the dialogue with everyone out there. Elle showing off her hand again. But this has been the Political Matrix, and you all have a wonderful, wonderful, and safe, rest of your weekend. And remember, we're all in this together, so show some compassion and some understanding to each other. And that's it. Y'all have a good one. Thank you.
Peace.